Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
You see, the problem is when you break a significant record, it's supposed to be a big deal. Like, imagine if Alex Ovechkin broke Wayne Gretzky's goals record, and this is how it went on the broadcast. And Alex Ovechkin shoots and scores on the power play, and that's going to make it 2-1 Capitals here. 2-1, what was the team? Islanders here in the second period. And now for the faceoff. See, that's the thing, is that like when you break a significant record, it's supposed to be a big moment that people care about and are invested in, and you cut to like the stands and you see people crying and hugging their parents, and it's beautiful. Now, here's the crazy part, right? In sports, you have no control over that, right? Like, you can't force Alex Ovechkin to break the record at home, but
Right.
that's the thing. Everyone knows the record is so significant that even when he breaks it on the road, you can cut to the stands and people are hugging and crying and the whole deal, because that's how important the record is. Now, just imagine, if you had the ability to control, you decide when it is that someone breaks a heralded record. Just go with me for a second.
Okay.
Imagine.
I'm hanging in there.
Imagine you have control over it, right? Like let's just say the NHL was scripted.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay.
I don't
alright,
think
good.
so. I don't know. I haven't
I
asked.
think it's a big
The
deal. if it
NHL was scripted, and they said to Alex, hey, don't score in the New York game. Just race around the ice. We're going to get you back Thursday night. We'll get all the luminaries there. We'll have a big moment. It'll be a raucous red and white crowd. We'll shoot off fireworks. The whole thing, man. You're going to break the record there. That would seem good, right? I mean, the other one was fine. It was totally fine. You still got a huge moment, right? But what if instead you just chose for the moment to be completely irrelevant, for no one to give a flying F? What if you just chose that? You just said, hey, you can control it. And you said to Alex Ovechkin, you're not going to break the record in New York. He said, all right, okay, so I'm breaking it at home. Yes, but what we're going to do is we're going to have no fans in the stands. We're going to make it like a
rewind the clock 5 years?
a COVID game, and there's going to be nobody there, and there's going to be like we're just going to pipe in some noise, and it's going to be muted. It's going to be like, Did you enjoy Wrestlemania?
Saturday night I did, yeah. Okay. I love Seth freaking. I love me some. I mean, I love.
You're a big Seth freaking Rollins
I was
guy.
gonna be happy if it was either this, or Mr. freaking Rollins.
You just don't care for Mr. Punk. You're not a punk man.
I'm not. I mean, it sounds like he's before my time.
Because
he's old.
Jesus Christ.
What? How old is
he?
He is old.
I don't think he's before your time.
I mean, yeah, he was impressive.
You're acting like
Saturday night.
You're acting like he's Shawn Michaels or Ric Flair. Christ. Yeah, well, they did.
I don't care for Chicago either.
You're anti-Chicago?
I mean, what tie do I have to Chicago?
Well, I'm not saying you should have a tie to Chicago, but do you know where Seth Rollins is from? Yeah. No. You don't. Is the answer?
I think I know. Let me think.
And I'm pretty sure it's not a place you have a tie to.
Let me think.
I'm gonna guess.
I'm trying to remember.
You have no ties to the state of Iowa in any way.
Well, wrestling.
Right. Oh, right.
Like
yes.
college wrestling.
Yes. Well, you've obviously been.
I have. Yeah, I went to the Field of Dreams once.
You went to the Field of Dreams, right? But you've been to Carver Hawkeye to watch.
I haven't been to Carver Hawkeye yet. It's on the bucket
Not to
list.
watch wrestling.
Well, because I went to the Field of Dreams over the summer. There was no Carver Hawkeye wasn't open.
You care
for
deeply.
anything.
I can tell. You care deeply.
So I have another trip, lined up.
They really just did that. Like, they just did it. Everybody was like, no. You can't do that. And they were like, yeah, but what if we just did anyway? What if we just broke this record and no one gave an S? What if we just did that, guys?
I think Travis Scott kind of cared, I guess.
Yeah.
He was happy.
That was definitely the best way to go about.
I thought it was going to go like another 20 minutes
So stupid.
after
Oh,
Travis
it was
Scott
so
came
bad.
out. Instead, it was
Everything
over.
about it.
Instead, it was over.
Just so bad. Hi, Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. It's a Monday edition of the program. We're not really going to talk about WrestleMania. They'll do that on Jobbing
maybe we
Out
should,
this
though.
week. Yeah. You don't want me to. It was thanks everybody who came and hung out at Sports and Social this weekend. That was great. And if you missed your opportunity, well, I have good news. Going to be back there on Thursday night for round 1 of the NFL draft with $5 Bud Light drafts and $8 cocktails. And the party kicks off at 6 o'clock, so you have a chance to get the vibes going early before the start of the NFL draft. So we will see you on Thursday night inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, where we had an awesome time this weekend. We were giving away championship belts last night.
Wow.
We were giving away Orioles tickets. We were giving away on Saturday night, we gave away like 50 free shots of Jaeger.
That's
A group of girls
That's
was
nice.
doing the shot ski. They had the all 4 of them at the
the,
same time. Yeah. They had a great time. Great time.
They don't call it a flight or what? Yeah.
Well, they call it a shot ski.
That's
That's
what they
why I
call it?
said shot ski.
Okay. 'cause
Yeah.
you-
That was
a shot. Ski.
Yeah, I was there, so that's why I said shot ski. Anyway, yeah, we'll be there Thursday night, so come hang out with us for the NFL Draft Thursday night inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. On the program today, coming up a little bit later on this hour, our buddy Pat Ricard is going to check back in with us. Yes, Ravens fullback. Project Pat, Pancake Pat, Pineapple Pat, whatever it is that you want to call him. Pat Ricard will return to the program. We will discuss him being back for another year in Baltimore. Looking forward to that. And then later on this morning, our guy Mike Bordick will check in with us. Maybe he can pitch. Find out. I mean, I'd be willing to give it a chance. It can't be worse. I had that conversation with John in Little Rock. John in Little Rock sent me the hang on. But John and I do agree about the main event of WrestleMania. I just found that out. John's off Twitter. He's only on
Is there
Blue
anyone who
Sky.
doesn't? I don't know. Are there people who are
God
like, yeah, this is how it should
Well,
have gone.
and they're trying to sell you like that's the idea that John Cena's such a heel that like it's supposed to suck. But imagine that being your choice. Tune in. It's gonna suck. God. Then again, it isn't even an excuse. Even if you think it's good storytelling, which like if that was a good story to tell, then you could argue it was good storytelling. It's just a bad story to tell, right? Like if somebody's a great actor and acts the hell out of an S role, you can't change how S the role is.
Like anything that Cage does, yeah.
Yeah, no, not anything. I wouldn't say anything. That
Okay,
Nick
anything's
Cage
a strong
does.
word. But
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I have some particular Nick Cage. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a face-off man, and I always will be. That movie ruled. Anyway, I say all of this to say, John sent me this message over the weekend. He said, "I've seen enough of Morton. He's got to go. Cut your losses and move on."
Wrestling for a second. I was like, who's Morton? Wrestling.
So I sent him this. I said, 1, yes. 2, they won't get rid of him because it's $15 million. 3, but they should. 4, but also, who else can pitch? 5, anybody's a better option. 6, accept the options they have. 7, I hate it here. Because this is the problem with all of these conversations.
I went to 2 games last week.
Ooh.
I went to Tuesday.
Yeah?
Charlie Morton pitched that day.
Oh, God. Did
I
you
went
go
to- I
yesterday?
went yesterday.
Oh, no.
Charlie Morton pitched yesterday.
No. Yuck.
I think I hate myself as
God.
what-
God. Had the worst Easter than the guys guarding the tomb. Jesus.
it was,
Somebody-
well, I got to watch Ellie De La Cruz play baseball. That was pleasant for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Sure, he made that one catch. That was
And
something.
He had a home run. And he stole a base.
Oh, I gave up after. It didn't take me long to give up on yesterday. Had the family over. I had to fix a toilet yesterday at the house.
Nice. Congratulations.
It's a
right?
conversation.
Is that what you say? I don't know.
Yeah, right. It's a whole thing.
Good job.
Sort of. I mean, like, it was kind of emasculating because, like, I figured it out. This is the thing. I figured out what was wrong with the toilet. There was this very tiny drip, right, in the back part of the toilet. And thanks to the internet, I figured out what was wrong.
Thank you, internet.
And I said, I can do this. And I've never fixed a toilet before in my life. But I did enough research that I was confident that if I just ran to the old Home Depot and got myself a new gasket and some new bolts, I can handle this. I'm going to fix it. Family's all coming over at 3. We noticed this problem around 12:30. I'm like, I can do
it is
this.
a tight window. Yeah.
And, of course, my father showed up early. And when my father showed up early and he saw that I was in fixing something, of course, my father, his paternal, it kicks in. Hey, what we doing in here? Well, Dad, I'm fixing the toilet. All right, what you need from me? I'm like, why? And you don't want to say no because it's your dad, right? You want to be like, hey, man, But there was a part of me that really just wanted to do it by myself. Like,
right.
I really just wanted, for the sake of being able to say, I, Glenn Clark, fixed the toilet. And I had, again, dissected everything. I had it all correct. I had figured out I had never taken the tank off a toilet before. Figured out that. Figured out the real issue wasn't really the gasket. It was the bolt because the bolt had snapped. But still figured out a way to get the bolt out. We're good. We're good. Bought the wrong size gasket. Needed a 2-incher. Had to get a 3-incher. So I had to go back to Home Depot. Now by that point, not only is my dad there, but now my cousins. And my cousin, Jeff, handyman. This is what he does. He can fix anything. My brother-in-law, handyman. They're all, well, I can tell you got to look. I'm like, no! YouTube figured it out. I'm glad I got this. And by that point, between the toilet and the way that I looked at the Orioles, I said, I'm good. I'm out. This is worse than my toilet. I'm out, so thank you. There was one man of the match from the weekend. It was Ramon Laureano, who, of course, wasn't even supposed to be here today on Saturday. Yeah. And yet, there he was, off the bench after Heston Kjerstad got plunked, hitting a couple of home runs. So we do get one. There's that. Got that going for us, which is something.
Good job, Ramon.
Ramon Laureano goes on the board for the first time as a Baltimore Oriole.
Congratulations.
I was worried about all the space that we would need for man of the match this year. I'm not certain that we're going to need all that space. We might not be filling the board. That might not be the case. Okay, so I get it because it's 24-2. There's a particular amount of freak out that comes along with that. And you want to believe, like I saw a lot on Twitter yesterday, like, this should be Black Monday for the Orioles. This should be the wake-up call. I hope David Rubenstein hears those boos and he cleans house. Again, this is where we got to separate, like, emotional, practical, all of these things. I understand everything you're feeling. And as I've said a few times, I can't defend the construction of this roster. I can't do it. I don't really know how good or not Brandon Hyde is as a manager. I just know this is the way that it works. When you lose for a little while, you go. It's almost impossible to know how good of a manager someone is. A manager is basically as good as their results. Like, we all think Bruce Bochy's a phenomenal manager, right, because he won 4 World Series. Go look at Bruce Bochy's career won-loss record. It's like he's either won the World Series or they've been bad. It's very bizarre how it's worked with Bruce Bochy. After a little while, when you're losing, if you're a manager, you just go. That's the way that it works. And at some point, it's not going to be, I keep trying to tell you, that you don't do anything like this before Memorial Day. Not really before June something. I'm using Memorial Day as a line of demarcation. I could just say end of May, and it'll work the same way. But you don't really do anything like this before Memorial Day. So you're screaming into a void. You gave up 24 runs. That sucks. Believe it or not, Teams have given up 24 runs before.
Orioles have, yeah.
Yes, in fact. Other teams have too. It happens. It sucks. It's no fun. If you went to the game yesterday, and it's a miserable way to spend a day. Although if you bet the over 1.5 position players pitching.
Right. I wish I didn't think to get that one.
Oh, plus 50,000. That seems like a stupid bet, huh? Yeah, that's what you think. It was awful. I mean, but it was an awful one game. The next, again, as you go from micro to macro, the micro is yesterday was terrible. The next micro is for the weekend, the Orioles had no pitching for the entirety of the weekend, save for the bullpen mostly on Saturday. They had no pitching. The Orioles have no pitching. And that's the point about like trying to kick Charlie Morton out. Right for who? For who? I mean, we're working in a world where with Charlie Morton, you're hoping that Kyle Gibson can be a savior. That was a bleak moment with all. You know, I love Jeff and Brett. They're good guys, but like at one point, I don't remember which game it was. I had to listen on the radio. I think it was when I was driving to Home Depot yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I want to say Brett brought up there is good news, though.
Kyle Gibson's waiting in the wings.
Oh, no.
Maybe they could talk Lance Lynn out of retirement, too.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It's awful. It's as bad as you think it is. They have the worst pitching staff in baseball, and that's after 2 of their starters made the best starts of their season the last time through the rotation. And we get it. Like, there is genuine reason to hope that Zach Eflin's not far from being able to return. But that's one. And maybe what you saw from Tomo Sagano last week was him starting to turn the tide. And you could start to convince yourself that between Sagano and Kramer, maybe like Sagano's 2/3 of a pitcher, Kramer's 1/3 of a pitcher, like between the two of them, you've got a starter.
Kramer might be 2/3 of a pitcher.
I have no idea why you would think that.
Well, he passed.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he was 2/3 of a pitcher.
He'll have 9 quality starts this year.
Maybe. I keep when we get to 1, let's have that conversation.
Tomorrow night.
I hope so.
You want to book it?
Sure. No, do not. But I sure hope it's coming. This thing where you think that I'm anti-Dean Kramer, you're going to be wrong about that. I'm not anti-anybody. I want Charlie Morton to be a great pitcher starting the next time out. I can only base any of these things off of what we've seen. The pitching is an unmitigated disaster. And I get it. When we say this, somebody's going to turn around and say, well, they scored 1 run on Friday. They scored 2 runs. Yeah, they did. You're right. But as I said a million times, there is reason to believe that they're capable of scoring runs. I don't know what the reason is to believe that they're capable of pitching.
Starting pitching, yeah. Like this.
What would that be based off of? And we can have the conversation. It was a miserable week for Adley Rutschman. I get it. He hit the ball really hard. There was some bad luck involved. It was mostly a miserable week for Jordan Westberg until he finally, came to life over the weekend, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But I can't even get into concern about the lineup. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, that exists. I don't think it's good enough to win a World Series, but are you kidding me talking about being good enough to win a World Series? Like, what? I mean, it'd be like talking about Maryland football winning a national championship, trying to break down which side. The pitching is so far away from that they're not. You couldn't. If you listed every team right now that was legitimately a World Series contender, you could not put – it even had a chance. You couldn't put the Orioles in that conversation. Because the pitching is abominable. And the questions of whether or not at some point somebody needs to answer for that are fair. It's extraordinarily unlikely that an ownership group that deferred to the general manager, which, to be fair, is kind of what we asked them to do. Now, egg on our face, and we're not the billionaires. But when we first heard about this last offseason, one of the things that we said was like, it looks like these guys know what they're doing. Let them cook. It's just the funny thing about that is, as it turns out, when they said let them cook it, they were basically Russell Wilson. That was the problem. It would be extraordinarily unlikely that when you have deferred to this front office from the moment that you arrived as a new ownership group and stood by them, then in the middle of the season, you would suddenly change that. That would be, really some bizarro world type of stuff. If you are so fed up with the pitching that you think Mike Elias has to go, you're going to be disappointed. It's not going to happen. Brandon Hyde might go in the middle of the season. That might happen. It's not going to happen today, as I keep saying. It's not going to happen anytime before Memorial Day. But it might happen because that's the way that it works in baseball. At a certain point, you just say the manager has to go because the results aren't good. It has nothing to do with whether or not they're capable of doing the job. To everyone's chagrin, it has nothing to do with what their lineups look like. And as I've said a million times, and as Mike Elias told you, he's happy with the lineups. That's what he wants. And so whoever the next manager would be expected to use the data that they believe to be most significant in going about constructing lineups. And again, that might mean that you have more of an issue with Mike Elias. Maybe you do. I'm not even here to tell you that I think Mike Elias is going to go. I think we are getting the cart before the horse a little bit because it's still April 21st. But the earliest that conversation happens is the end of the season. Or super late in the season when it's fait accompli. Like if they're eliminated in September, you could make the firing in mid-September because you know it's going to happen at the end of the year and you just want to get on with it. Like that can also be done. But it's when the Orioles are eliminated, I guess is the better way of saying it. Then that conversation can occur. Right now, you're spitting into the wind. The frustration is the pitching. And the real frustration is there's no reason to think the pitching's going to get fixed. There is nothing that you've seen from these guys that suggests that the next time out it's going to be much different. Again, the concern is the next time out it might not even be as good. That's the crazy part. I don't know if Tomo Sagano is really that good. I have no idea what Dean Kramer is. I was as perplexed as a lot of people were about the decision to get rid of Scott Blewett. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not because I have any idea what Scott Blewett really is. I have no idea if he's going to be Brad Brock. I do know that it's weird when you look at his numbers and you're like, this guy really seems to actually pitch kind of well wherever he is. And yet, everybody just keeps getting rid of him. What's going on there? And clearly, this was kind of the plan all along. Like, they picked up Scott Blewett because they needed a reliever for a week. And they kind of predetermined that he was going to be gone after that no matter what. But this is the part that, like, is difficult for people to say out loud. There is no justifying Cade Povich's place on this roster at the moment. There isn't. Cade Povich is pitching to a +2 whip. That's not good enough. That's untenable. And yes, we all see the signs. We all see little things about Cade Povich. We're like, man, he can make some pitches. And, he did limit some damage. And, we can say all of those things. But as I said last week when we had this conversation, I think with Jacob Calvin-Meyer, none of that means that he needs to be in a rotation at the major league level for a team that's trying to win. As Stan and I said, I think fairly eloquently on Friday, there are signs that Cade Povich might be a good major league pitcher at some point. But the Orioles don't need might be a good major league pitcher at some point. They need a major league pitcher. And this defaults back to the thing that I was talking about with John. But if not Cade Povich, who?
And now we know it's not going to be Brandon Young for another 12 days or whatever.
And don't get me wrong, Brandon Young wasn't really good on Saturday, although, again, he settled in a little bit and battled and fought. And, all the things that we said about other guys when we've tried to grade him on a curve this year, you could grade Brandon Young on a curve. And as I said, to me, the solution really was simple. Povich goes down, Young gets to make one more start, and then you reevaluate from there. Presumably, Kyle Gibson is pitching in Brandon Young's spot. I don't think it's going to be Cody Poteet.
Who we gave Zach Britton's number, by the way.
God.
I didn't love that.
What are we even doing? So you let, in my scenario, instead of Kyle Gibson taking Brandon Young's spot, he just takes Cade Povich's spot. And for one start, Brandon Young makes another start, and Cade Povich doesn't. And then you reevaluate from there. And if after 2 starts you say, Brandon Young can't do it, you can always bring Cade Povich back. To me, there was just no reason to get rid of Scott Bluet. Bluet. I believe it's French. Bluet. There was no reason to do it. But I also can't yell and scream and pretend that that's going to be the moment.
Series. Yeah.
That's the end of the road. But I can say that I get it. We want to have kid gloves for Cade Povich. We want to. You're a special boy. I want to say all those things, but Cade Povich isn't pitching like someone who can be in the major leagues right now. And it's not just because he got shelled by the Reds on Friday night. He's gotten shelled a lot. It's just that it's been a lot of good luck. Good luck. He doesn't really have a very particular set of skills. Not yet.
He's good at walking, guys.
That's true. That's true. He does have that particular set of skills. You're right. It's awful. It's awful, and there is no reason to think it's going to get better. And that's the pain. The pain is it's hard to talk about anything else because it is really hard to see how this becomes more watchable. Help is not on the way, other than potentially the return of Zach Eflin. And again, that's one. I don't. There's no cavalry coming. Or for those of you that don't understand the language, cavalry. Neither one of them are coming. Well, not in this sense. This is it. It's gonna in DC this week, it's gonna be these guys. You're gonna have to hope for the best from Kramer and Sagano. And then it's right back to what it was before. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, Eflin's part of the equation. And you can pray that Kyle Gibson is
2023 Kyle Gibson, but even that
that's certainly not good. It's just
best pitcher on the staff at the moment.
I mean, it gives you more of a chance. But you're praying for that. You're praying that he's not really good, but not god-awful. And I can't give you anything that's going to make you feel better. I don't have it for you. Everybody wants everything right now. I'm telling you, I am terrified that the pitching is going to continue to be this much of a problem for some time. Terrified. And there's not a better answer. They didn't draft pitchers. They're not ready. They've got... This is what they've got. And if you're mad at Brandon Hyde, I be mad at Brandon Hyde. I don't really know what he's supposed to do with this. I mean, I kind of appreciate him kind of calling Charlie Morton out on Saturday night. Like, dude, you're the guy making $15 million. Gonna need you to be a pitcher. And Charlie Morton was like, hey, the funny thing about that is, go F yourself. He went and did the Paul Heyman low blow to Brandon Hyde, right? Like, he was like,
only had 1 run in the first inning, so that was good.
Yeah, there was that. At that point, he would have had a 9 ERA for the day. And yeah. It was better than it ended up. Jesus, dude. I appreciate that at some point Brandon Hyde should say, like, what? You figure it out. Now, somebody's still going to be mad about lineups. I understand that. Ironically, Ramon Laureano is one of the guys they're furious about, and at the moment, he's
yesterday's lineup wasn't all that bad. I mean,
one of the guys that's hitting. It's the thing that I kept saying every time, like, Jackson Holliday's out of the lineup. Like, I get what you think you're saying, that Jackson Holliday should be in the lineup every day, but, like, he's been in the lineup a lot, and we don't have a whole lot to show for that.
Well, because Jorge Mateo's not doing anything.
The problem is that Jorge Mateo is stunk this year, but thinking that it's, like, foolish to play Jorge Mateo against left-handed pitching spits in the face of reality. The reality is Jorge Mateo has hit left-handed pitching throughout the course of his career. Of any of these guys, he's the guy that before the season you would have said 100% he's going to be in the lineup. Now, you could have the argument about whether or not you should be finding another way. A lot of people talked about the idea of Jorge Mateo playing center field so that the guy that he was replacing was Cedric instead of replacing Jackson Holliday. Well, indisputably at the moment,
Cedric's the only guy that hits left-handed pitching.
right. So you're screaming about Brandon Hyde. I don't know what you want. You just want to scream, really, is what it is. The problem is Jordan Westburg's not hitting or hasn't been hitting. And Adley Rutschman hasn't been hitting now. Like we're just screaming to scream. It's got to be somebody else's fault. It's eternally the way that we do this. It's fire, blank, shrug, win. It's just all we have. We're boring. We are so boring. The results would just be different if we just fired somebody. As I said before, at some point, if it keeps like this, the manager will get fired. But it will have nothing to do with whether or not that will fix anything. They'll do it anyway. But we have no idea what it's going to mean. Because, again, if you're handing another manager this pitching staff, forget it. It's sort of like Mike Krzyzewski faking that back injury years ago. You're just avoiding taking a bunch of losses. Like, it would kind of be a gift to Brandon Hyde. If this is the pitching staff you have to work with, hey, this is the good news, is you don't have to carry this. That career win-loss record.
Yeah, right. It's going to be pretty good still.
You're going to get to
I guess it's
good. Yeah, I mean, he still has to carry the first few years of the rebuild. But it could be worse. That's it. That's all that would come from that. Nothing would be better for the next manager, which, again, doesn't mean that it might not happen or even that at a point it shouldn't happen, because that's just baseball. You just fire managers. But there's a bigger problem related to the Orioles, which is they have no pitching. And it goes back to the conversation that we had. It was so funny when people were letting me know that Corbin Burns it wasn't great in the seconds. We're trying to find anything that we can, there are people that are tweeting out about how, like, Corbin Burns' K per 9 has gone down. Turn around and look at Corbin Burns' back-to-back quality starts the last 2 times he's pitched.
What? Corbin Burns is good?
Believe it or not. And then somebody would say, well, the Orioles tried to get Corbin Burns. Yes, but they knew they were going to have to beat out everybody else. And given his ties to Arizona, that was what it was going to take. And yet it was Corbin Burns or bust. And they busted. And they're in this
Max
situation.
Fried took a no-hitter into, like, the 8th inning yesterday.
I would have hated to have signed Max Fried. Yeah. We're very good at telling why you can't give this money to certain guys. There's nothing. Well, you can't do that. Right. But then you have no pitching. And that's what the Orioles have. They have done this very deliberate, don't draft pitchers, don't sign pitchers. And you're never going to believe what the result has been. Like, they didn't draft any, and they didn't spend money on any. Now, you might think perhaps they just went to the pitching tree,
dollar store or something,
and pulled some pitchers down from the pitching tree. And they've got pitchers. But believe it or not, the answer is no, they have no pitching. That's the answer. And because of that, they're in the shape they're in. They have the worst ERA of any pitching staff, including the one that plays their home games at a plus 5,000 feet elevation and the ball flies out of the ballpark. They have a worse pitching staff than the Colorado Rockies. Normally, it's just a ranking of 29, right? Like, well, we know the Rockies are going to be worst. Who's the 29th? And they're the real worst. It's so bad here that they're worse than that. And we're all mad. And I get it. We're all mad. Easter was miserable. It was well, I mean, for baseball. It was nice, I guess, if you're like a Warriors fan.
You trying to cancel Easter?
It's got to be like that. If you're a Thunder fan, you probably had a wonderful Easter. They won by, I think, 600 points.
That's
Baseball fans,
good win.
It was.
If you're John Cena fan, if you're Travis Scott, I think you had a good Easter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Otherwise, he still took a crossroads, but
yeah, right. I don't know. All right, we will. It's not like we're not gonna. We will get back into baseball. I promise. Bordick's gonna join us. We'll do 3 up, 3 down. Jeremy's gonna join us a little bit later on. We'll talk about baseball with all that. But we're gonna pause for a bit, talk some football with our guy Pat Ricard when we come back in. Hey, don't forget the Brigance Brigade, who we love, and they do incredible work. They have a major event coming up this weekend. Support the Brigance Brigade with their annual 5.7K race and 1.57-mile fun walk, Saturday, April 26th. The day will be full of racing, walking, and family fun, starting at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore, and it all supports the fight against ALS. On top of the race and walk, there will also be a kids' fun run, sack races, a freeze dance competition, moon bounce, face painting, and a cupcake bar, plus free zoo admission is included with your registration. Brunch from Jimmy's Famous Seafood can also be added to your registration for $15, or you can add it day of. So race, play, and make lasting memories together. Register now for the Brigance Brigade 5.7K at brigancebrigade.org. Pat Ricard's next, Glenn Clark Radio.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland Music Celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Real quick, before we talk to Pat Ricard, there is some noteworthy news related to the Orioles this morning, as Masson has announced that for the first time ever, you'll be able to watch baseball games over the top, if you will. They have announced Masson Plus, which will give you the chance for $19.99 a month, or apparently they're going to be offering an $89.99 deal for the rest of the season. I got to think about that math. Yeah, I guess that math works. In order for you to be able to watch Masson without a cable subscription. So long overdue. I mean, terribly long overdue, but I guess better late than never to start with. And also, again, be nice if the app, works. That would be the next step in the process, is improving the app. But this is a good start. Thumbs up for that. Masson launching what they will call Masson Plus, to allow fans to watch games without a cable subscription service. So there is that. All right, we had to do this a little bit earlier on because of OTA schedule, but we had the opportunity to catch up with Ravens fullback Pat Ricard right here on GCR.
For another year, at least, hopefully more than that, with the Baltimore Ravens. And he is one of the best guys on the team. He is Pat Ricard. And he is back with us on the program.
Pat, it's Glenn. It's always good to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yes, always. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, my wife and I got a cat. This is a new world for me, bro. This is a totally different experience. I'm sitting trying to do work at night, and this cat just, hops on me right in front of my laptop and is like, no. This is my world that you're living in. This is the way it's going to go. And I'm adjusting to it. I would just say it's been a little bit different for me.
Yeah, you got to get used to it. When that's the cat space now, you just got to accept it. But that's awesome to hear. I know it's people don't know what to expect when they get a cat, and then eventually they just fall in love. And that's a beautiful thing to hear, because I love my cat, so
I know.
Hopefully,
I know you're a cat guy. I would tell you that I didn't think I was a cat guy. I can already feel that we're cool, it's all right, but it's just that my dog wants attention. My cat needs attention. It's sort of the different way that goes. My dog is gonna be like, hey, I'm here. It's time for some belly rubs. My cat is just going to throw herself right in front of me and say, there's no alternative here. This is my world.
No, it's either or with the cat. They either don't want to be anywhere near you, or they want to be all over you.
That is the understanding that I have been given on this. So we will see how it goes. You have a full house at this point, right? You've got a little bit of everything going on in your house. What's going? Catch me up on how is life like? How's being a dad? The whole thing. What have the last couple years been like?
So I got 3 cats in my house, my wife, and then now my daughter, who's a little over a year old now. So there's a lot of moving parts. It's not super crazy yet. It's not like I have 4
5
kids and
right?
2 dogs, and a parrot, a gerbil. It's getting a little bit bigger, but it's been awesome. The off season has been nice. Went on a little vacation with the family.
That's awesome.
At the Pro Bowl, that was super, super cool, super fun. And then just been kind of relaxing, just traveling a little bit, training, just seeing friends and family I haven't seen in months. But it's been good. I can't complain. A lot of joy in my life right now.
Has it changed you as much as you expected it would? I remember us talking about this last year. Did becoming a dad impact you
I had a million people tell me, like, your life is literally never going to be the same. And I was like, all right, dude, like, settle. People told me that about getting married. And getting married, like, your life didn't change at all. Like, even a little bit from one day to the next. Like, my wife just had a different last name. That was basically the only difference. But everybody tried to warn me about becoming a dad. And they were like, dude, you were about to, you won't even remember life before this. And they were 1,000% right about that. Like, they've never been more right about anything along those lines. Was it the same way for you?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I think the biggest thing is, like, you just never really understood what, like, love is and love for somebody. Like, obviously, like, we love, like, our spouses and friends and family, but, like, your own child, it's a different type of love. And just, like, the amount of joy she brings to me every day. And, you know, whenever I think about her, it just makes me smile, and just think about the life she's going to have and have with us. It's like a really strong emotion. And I think that's, like, been the biggest thing. And, you know, my wife and I are already kind of homebodies. So, like, we like to do stuff, but, like, we enjoy being home. So having a baby didn't really affect it too much.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who love to go out all the time. Every weekend they need to be doing something or traveling all over the place. Like, that slows down when you have a baby. So hasn't been that big of adjustment. Obviously, you know, it's, you know, you got to find a sitter or a family member to watch the baby when you want to go do something together. That's the only big adjustment, I guess, at this point.
Man, I was like that, and we were lucky because we have we have 5 grandparents that all live right in the area. That we're all like, dude,
Awesome.
Yeah, it couldn't have worked out any better for us for a little while. But now I'm in the boat that you're at. Like, now I'm not going out. Forget I'm 41. It's just not happening anymore.
I'm excited to be home.
Yep, 100%. Pat Ricard is with us here on GCR. All right, so, like, when you go through this, do you know, like, the rest of us are all talking about it, like, hey, you know, I want Pat Ricard to be back. I hope that he's going to be back. Like, does the organization talk to you down the stretch, like, hey, man, this is the plan, this is the way it's going to go, or did you go into it genuinely not knowing, like, have I played my last game as a Raven at this point?
So, you know, throughout my whole career, the coaches and the organization have always shown me love. They've always, you know, told me what they think about me. And when the season ended, you know, I felt like I had a great season. I felt like the team had a good season. You can't say great because we didn't go win the whole thing, but I felt like it was a good year to where, you know, in my head, it's like, oh, why wouldn't they want me back and do what I did and kind of have the same type of offense? So when the season ended, you know, you start having talks with your agent, just to go through scenarios of different things of how free agency can shake out. And I was going to be a free agent. So, you know, you have a couple months leading up into free agency to where you're still under contract. So, you know, the team reached out to my agent several times, you know, telling him, like, we want Pat back. We love Pat. Like, we just need to have all of our conversations because there's so many moving pieces when it comes to signing players. You have at the owner, the front office, the coaches, scouts, so many different things that, you know, need to all agree upon for the most part, you know. But yeah, so, like, I knew that they wanted me back. It was just a matter of what I wanted, what I felt like was best, and then kind of see how free agency was going to shake out a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, I knew that I want to be back. I just feel like it's just, why would I not want to be back? You know, it's like, I've been here my whole career. I love the area. I love my teammates, my coaches. The facility is amazing. We're a great team. I have the best quarterback, the best running back in the NFL to play with.
Not bad.
It's just, you know, it's just like, I was almost just feeling like foolish, like dumb to leave the situation, because it's like, you know, at this point in my career, it's like, why would I want to go live in a new city, new teammates, all this stuff? It would have to be really worth it, you know, like maybe a ridiculous amount of money I just couldn't turn down.
Somebody says, like 8
it
figures.
is a business. I got to take care of myself and my family.
Right.
But yeah, what's really important for me is winning a Super Bowl and trying to stay with the same team. You know, I think there's a lot of pride and honor to be on the same team for your whole career, especially
that
you know,
part.
like the Ravens.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I started thinking about that. Right, like, does that start to resonate with you when you get to a certain place in your career? Does that thought, like, this almost never happens anymore? Like, legendary players end up in other spots. does it start to become a thing where you're like, dude, I could do something that almost no one gets to do if you were to play your entire career in one place?
Yeah, I think it's also my position. You know, not every team uses my position.
Right.
So I feel like that also weighs into me a little bit more. But you know, I'm going to year 9 now, and I know I'm not playing football forever. Like, let's be real, people. So, I think it's just like a legacy thing. It's like, why would I want to play maybe a year or two at a different place when I can just play every single year on the same team and just kind of have my legacy keep growing with this organization, the community, the team. You know, and that if my career is all said and done and I do end up making the Ring of Honor, you know, that's really important to me. I feel like that's like one of the biggest achievements you can have is to say that you left a legacy with an organization. And especially me growing up from a small area in Massachusetts, went to a 1AA school, like just being in the NFL in general is a dream. So then to at some point potentially be considered a legacy player for an organization is just remarkable. You know, it's something that I really think about at this point in my career.
Dude, that really gives me goosebumps, you talking about that, man. Like, that, it's a special thing, the way that you're describing it, and that's so cool. The experience last year of getting to do that, obviously you've been with Lamar for a few years, like, that's not new. But sharing a backfield with him and Derrick Henry, like that laugh that you just had, like, I can't get over how unique that must be, how, like, truly cool of an experience. A lot of guys have done a lot of things, right? Lorenzo Neal, I think, was in a backfield at one point with LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers, I think maybe for a year. Like, but, dude, that is, I can't even imagine what that's got to be like for you.
Yeah, it's 2 future Hall of Fame players that I get to play with. And it's just like, what's crazy about those 2 guys is, like, going into a game, either one of them can take over the entire game. Like, say, okay, this game, we can just hand the ball to Derrick 30 times in a row, and they're not going to stop him. Or this game, we're going to have Lamar drop back pass or have him run the ball more, and Derrick will be, you know, kind of sprinkled in there. They still have to worry about him, but let's let Lamar, you know, take over this game. It's pick or poison between those 2, and then I get to block from them both. They're amazing teammates, amazing human beings. I think those are the 2 guys that a lot of kids should look at as role models because they're these superstar NFL players, but they are the most humble, genuine, nice people that you can ever meet. Like, you know, when Derrick came and signed with the team last year, I didn't know exactly. I've met him a couple of times, but not to get to work with him, be with him every day, see how he operates, see how he treats people and all this stuff. Like, you know, he's King Henry. He can act like, you know, he's the best thing ever and no one can tell him anything, but he's the complete opposite. He's a down-to-earth person, you know, has a family, has kids, and you know, asks me about my family, my kids, just jokes around with me. You know, I think that's the biggest thing about those 2 guys that I really appreciate, other than just dominating football fields with them.
So cool, man. That's so cool. Like, dude, I don't like get to act like a fan much, but like what you just described is so cool, man. What about, did he never got you on the like the kale diet, did he? He never got you to, like, you know, consider walking around just eating a bowl of lettuce with, like, no dressing or anything?
You saying Derrick?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he has a unique diet. I think he said he, like, doesn't really eat breakfast. It's more of like he eats like an avocado and a banana or something.
Right.
Something weird, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it clearly works for him.
Oh, no, I would never question that dude whatsoever. Not even a little bit.
No.
I remember how cool it was. Like, he was like a fan of yours, right? Like, he was excited about that, dude. Like, you've done so many things, but like, I can't even imagine how cool that was that, like, he wanted to be on a team with you. Like, that's insane, right?
Yeah, no, so when he signed last offseason, he did an interview, and they brought me up or something in the interview, and he just, like, smiled, started talking very highly of me, and like I said, at that point, he was on Tennessee his whole career. I was with the Ravens. We played a couple times. You know, we've seen each other a couple times at the Pro Bowl and got to talk a little bit, but, like, I didn't know what he thought of me. So for him to say all that, like, it truly was like really cool. I was like, I was sending the video out to some of my boys back home, some of my family, to make sure that it's not King Henry, likes me and stuff. But yeah, it's really an honor. I mean, guys like him, it's like, I have so much respect for, and for them to have respect for me, it's really cool.
That's awesome, man. All right. How does it end up differently? I don't know how you guys handle this. Do you obsess over it? Do you say we got to start thinking now about how a playoff game goes differently? Do you have to ignore it and say we can't obsess over it because that's how things go wrong? Like, what is there an internal philosophy within the organization, or is it just, dude, just go play football and we'll figure it out when we get to January. We just got to win the game.
Yeah. It's definitely frustrating, because it's like, we know we're a great team. We know that if we play well, we don't think any team can beat us. It's always been the Ravens that have beaten the Ravens. I don't know. I don't think you can obsess over the playoffs and, we got to do this, we got to do that. And I don't think we were like that this year. I felt like, our first game, we played really well against the Steelers. It was a home game. And then I went to Buffalo. We just didn't play our best. We just had too many mistakes. And I think, that's just how football is. It's any given Sunday, any given day, you play in snow, rain, super hot, super cold weather. You just have to overcome all those. And, it's just unfortunate at the games that are the most important in the playoffs, you make mistakes at times. And it's all three phases. But I just think we just got to just continue to just finish everything we do during the week. We really have to keep getting close to the team. I feel like as close as you are as teammates and as coaches, I feel like you have more accountability with each other. You can be more real with each other. You can have more fun with each other. You play harder for one another. There's no egos, and I feel like we've always done a really great job with that, and that's why we've been having so much success over the years. I feel like, you just got to just keep improving, and the thing that's exciting about me, and that's why it was so important to stay, is that so many guys that were there last year are going to be back, and I feel like we're going to have a really great draft. We have, I think, one of the most draft picks, 11 picks or something like that, and we all know how Eric does during the draft. So I know we're going to have a lot of great rookies. So it's just, and we have, same coordinators back. Zach Orr's first year last year, and I feel like he had a great year. People can say whatever at the beginning of the year with their defense, but look how they finished and look how players grew in the defense. So, I just feel like we're just going to be a better team next year. A whole another year with Todd Monken, his third straight year with us, another year with Derek and myself, and all of our receivers are back for the most part.
I hear DeAndre Hopkins is good. I hear that guy's okay.
Yeah. D-Hop. You got D-Hop now. There's just there's so many things to look at that's really exciting about this team, and we just have to get to work starting next week's OTAs and just gel with one another and improve. And when the time gets to the playoffs, we have to earn the right, win a bunch of games to get there, and we just got to play football how we've always played. And I think there's not really much else to say at this point. It's April right now. So.
Right. You can't win it in this moment. I understand that.
Right. Exactly.
So this will be my last one, only because you got a very unique perspective on it. We know one of the big storylines going into the draft this week is Travis Hunter and this idea of someone playing both sides of the ball. Well, I know a guy who's played both sides of the ball. Now, I know it wasn't forever, and I know it wasn't maybe the serious number of snaps, but can this be done? Can someone be both a high level offensive player and a high level defensive player and play? Is it possible to do that at the NFL level at a serious number of snaps?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think the biggest thing is just the durability part of how many years can he do this, and is it the best for him for longevity in the NFL? Could he, the thing that's really fascinating about this is that he did do it in college. He did play both sides, I think almost every snap for the whole season, right? But I think the biggest thing he's going to run into is just how long the NFL season is. And then he's going against grown men who are professionals versus college athletes who half or majority of them won't play in the NFL. So, I think he's an amazing athlete. Like, he clearly can do it. He's clearly smart enough to do it. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think it's just, can he do it for a whole NFL season? And then can he do that season after season without him getting worn down? Because, it is a lot of running. Like, let's be real. Receiver
Right.
and DB, like, that's a lot. And especially him being a younger player, like, he may ask him to play some special teams. Probably not, because he's going to be a really top pick, like, he probably won't, but they might. So, but if he's playing both sides, probably not. But, it's going to be interesting. I'm very fascinated to see how it turns out. Like, for me, I was playing D-line, so it wasn't quite as much
The
running.
yeah.
But, like, during the game, like, you don't sit down, and that's the biggest thing. Like, he's going to be on his legs all day. Season's a lot longer. He's playing against stronger, more explosive athletes than he was in college. But, yeah, I'm cheering for him. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully the teams do give him the opportunity to play both ways. But, I feel like they won't really know until they have him in the building, see what he can really do. And even for himself, maybe he thinks when he gets to the NFL, maybe I'm just a better receiver than a DB, or I'm a better DB than receiver. Let me just go all in on this. And maybe, this is my biggest take from this, and I'll be done with
You're good, dude.
Travis Hunter. I think what's going to happen is he's going to get on a team. They're going to see that he's better at one position versus the other. He's going to play full-time at either receiver or DB, and then he's going to either have a package with the position he's playing less, to where he'll still play both ways, but just not 100% for both.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that will help him with his durability. He's not going to be quite exhausted during the games, but he can still help on both sides of the ball. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen, but hey, you never know, man. This dude, he won a Heisman. He was doing it in college, so he might just say, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm just going to be a dog and just never come off the field.
That's what I want to do, right? Like, I want to make history.
Yeah.
I want to be different than everybody else. I am fascinated by it too, man. Like, I think I think there's a lot of guys that would probably tell you, like, I believe I could have done, like, there are probably a ton of receivers who are like, hey, man, I probably could have played defensive back. Like, I had the skill set to do it. It's just that we didn't do things that way. I think it'd be fascinating to see it play out that way. I really do. Brother, I appreciate you. I'm very happy that you're back for another year. I always appreciate everything you do for our community, and hopefully there'll be more. I know Tyler Linderbaum has now joined the Softy family, which is
awesome.
That's awesome. Hopefully we'll be seeing you guys out. I know we're going to be doing a homecoming in July. Pat Ricard, anything that I can plug for you?
Not much these days. It's on my website, thepatrickricard.com. I'm not doing my cameo right now. I usually do it, but I just wanted a nice little break in the off season, so that'll eventually be back. But no, just go Ravens and let's do it.
Go get some shirts right now, thepatrickricard.com. Thank you, buddy. Let's talk soon, all right?
Yep, thank you.
That's Pat Ricard. Project Pat with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us as they get ready for the first week of OTAs out in Owings Mills this week. Going to be some new Ravens coming up later on this week. So appreciate Pat Ricard joining us, and some interesting thoughts there about Travis Hunter and what it might take for someone to be a full-time two-way player in the NFL. All right, hour number 1 is in the books. If you haven't picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, make sure you get out and get it today. Luke Jackson, the great cover story about the hard road back from Tommy John surgery for Felix Batista, Kyle Bradish, and Tyler Wells. Go get that right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. The new print issue of Press Box available today. Let's get back into some Orioles conversation after a rough weekend. Joining us once again, this man, you know him from everywhere, legitimately everywhere. He is a media superstar. You hear him as part of Baltimore Baseball Tonight over on 105.7 The Fan. He has his own show, the Baltimore Baseball Podcast, with him and Jerry Coleman. He's our buddy Mike Bordick. Orioles Hall of Famer, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Bordy, it's Glenn and Griffin. It's always good to catch up, buddy. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, wow, I got to pay you for that introduction,
Oh,
man. That
stop.
was tremendous.
You're
Thank
my
you
guy.
so much.
You know that. You know I love you. Everybody, I talk about this with Bordy all the time. I'm like, Bordick was the guy when I was on the radio station that like the Orioles hated us and nobody liked us over there because of a certain psychopath that worked there. Bordy was like, "I'll come on with you, man. Like you're my guy." And I hope you know that when I say these things about you, it's very genuine. I love you, brother, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate your words. Thanks so much.
I don't appreciate the fact that the pitching is a mess. This is the problem that I'm having, Mike, is that like I know there are other problems. They scored 2 runs yesterday. They scored 1 on Friday. That's not good enough. But like I can't even dive into that because it's very difficult for me to see until Zach Eflin plus are back. It's really tough for me to see how this team is going to be a consistent winner when this is what they're throwing out every day, starting pitching-wise.
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, they just, they tried, I think, this offseason to create, that so-called depth. But the problem is, their backup guys just aren't that deep enough. They're just, Charlie Morton, the 41-year-old, I have a hard time because I don't want to sound disrespectful to him at all, but he was literally retired. He was done. He was happy with everything he did, and the Orioles kind of overwhelmed him with the contract offer and said, we need an arm. Now, I don't know what led them to think that Charlie Morton was going to be the answer for a potential playoff team. I'm not sure. And then they continue getting older guys. Kyle Gibson is now the guy that we're going to end up relying on. So, yeah, there are a couple head scratchers. I guess when it's all said and done, we're going to have to wait and see how we look at the trade deadline and be optimistic that they'll be more aggressive at the trade deadline to get what we and every other team in Major League Baseball needs, which is pitching. And maybe we'll get some reinforcements with guys coming back. But there are no guarantees. Every time we hear a shoulder injury, the next thing you know, the guy's on the 60-day IL. What's going to happen with Eflin? I mean, we don't know. It's all a big mystery with these arms and the arm injuries and how to keep them because they better address this. It really, listen, this bothers me maybe more than anything, how they can get away with saying, well, it's this time of baseball where, a lot of pitchers are getting hurt. Well, no, it shouldn't be that way because this is your prized resource. If you don't have these pitchers, you will not have Major League Baseball, so you better figure something out and find a way to find sustainability and guys that are good in the big leagues. I mean, it's hard. I'm scared that we're running out of really good arms, and they're just becoming too complacent with the injuries, saying, oh, it's okay, he'll just get Tommy John.
Right.
Let's go.
Is that unique, Mike? Is that unique to you, to the Orioles, or is that a bigger that's a more global baseball problem?
Oh, no, it's all baseball.
Yeah.
It's all baseball. I think what's unique to the Orioles is now, multiple shoulder injuries, which, if you ask me, is more concerning than an elbow by tenfold. Really, shoulder injuries for baseball throwers is, that's a huge red flag. Nowadays, the Tommy Johns become so, secondary that I don't think pitchers are that concerned other than they may lose a little velocity and have to come up with another pitch to be able to pitch in the big leagues again. But shoulders are the biggest red flag because sometimes guys can never pitch again, depending on, the deal, of the shoulder. So see what happens there. It's crazy right now, though, and the Orioles definitely need pitching, and hopefully they can find a way to work out some deals to land a couple because at this rate, they're getting further and further away from the postseason, not closer.
I don't know that they can even wait to the deadline, Mike. Like, I'm starting to think.
Well, I agree, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if Charlie Morton all of a sudden decides to hang him up, which I don't know why he wouldn't if you just keep every time he goes out, he's having the same kind of result.
Are you convinced? Mike? Can I ask it directly? Are you convinced that it's just over for Charlie Morton? Like somebody would say to me, "Hey, it's 4 starts. He did strike out 10 guys." Like, when you watch him, do you just see a guy who he's not going to be the same?
I don't know. You know what? I guess I can't really say that, but just the age lends that he's not going to be able to bounce back. I just think he's got. It seems like his arm can play, but if it's curveball is his pitch, bread and butter pitch, and it's this inconsistent, I don't know if he's going to be able to bring that back. You know, it's just, you know, I think unfortunately, you know, the Orioles have always tried to catch lightning in a bottle, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's just not going to, it doesn't bode well for consistent winning philosophy. And why they would, I don't know, why they would take a chance on the older arms is beyond me with all the injuries. So, yeah, there are some question marks, but, you know, this team, I would say that yesterday might have been the lowest point this young group has ever kind of endured. So they have to, every one of them has to collectively look in the mirror and say, this is unacceptable, and find a way to get better. And whether it means playing better hardball, then go get them, boys, because that's what you're out there for. You better grind and grit and persevere and figure out how to win Major League ball games with substandard pitching. So there's a lot of pressure, and there was coming into this season that this young offense better slug or they're not going to compete. Yeah. And that's it now. They better be able to slug. Or every night they're not going to have to get 25 hits and 25 runs, but, you know, they better keep producing and be flexible and versatile and find different ways to score, because that's what it's going to take. Because as much as I like Dean Kramer, he's not going to be Cy Young now. Right. He's going to be Dean Kramer, and we kind of know what we're going to get. He could have a great start tomorrow, but, you know, there's going to be a couple clunkers in there, and just, you know, where he's going to settle in as a back-end starter. So, you know, guys have to step up. Guys have to find ways to get deeper in ball games, and then just hope we can start getting healthy. That's really going to be the name of the game. So.
Mike Bordick is with us here on GCR. Bordy, as you mentioned the need to slug, I'm sure you are quite aware of the frustration that a lot in the fan base have about the construction of lineups for the Orioles, and particularly like Jackson Holliday not getting to face lefties, and Jorge Mateo, who it seems like he hasn't had a hit since 2024, continuing to be out there. What do you make of it? I have said a million times, it is pretty clear to me from the conversations I have, this is not Brandon Hyde freewheeling. This is an organizational philosophy they're not getting away from, and so it's hard for me to scream about it with Brandon Hyde. But do you feel like at this point they need to just have a consistent lineup and say, we got to let these guys have a shot to hit against lefties a little bit more and figure out if they can truly be everyday baseball players?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I feel that way. I just don't think the algorithms will allow for it, because I think that's the way most teams do it now. They, you know, I heard Mike Elias's interview the other day, and he said that, you know, their team gives Brandon Hyde some choices, and I think his choices are probably 3 or 4 lineups. And, you know, and then Brandon's got to pick the one that he thinks works best. And I know Brandon's got a nice gut, and I feel like a good instinct, but I just think I don't know. Maybe I'm saying, I just think it's all analytically driven. I think positioning is analytically driven. I think pitching choices are analytically driven. And I think it makes it easier for us to then question whatever algorithm is being used, you know, and then does an algorithm creator have to be fired? Because there is no way that whatever algorithm they came up with projected that Charlie Morton was going to be the guy that puts this team over the top in the postseason. You cannot tell me that an algorithm showed that. I don't get it. So anyway, there are a lot of things I can, you know, just be old school and argue about, but I just think that's the way of the game right now. And yes, in my heart of hearts, I believe consistency, you know, with a lineup and roles that guys know what they're doing in baseball still benefit the player, and they benefit just how the team works and the consistency, what guys expect. Listen, I want Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday to be the double play combination I would love it for the next 10 years and watch these guys do their thing together. But it ain't happening if they don't face left-handed pitching. I mean, yeah, I agree. He needs to be challenged. And I just think they're putting together on paper what they think is the lineup that's going to score the most runs, and who can knock them now for doing that, because they need to. They need to score runs.
There's no question. They're going to have to score a boatload of runs. Obviously, after a solid first week or so, it's been a struggle again for Adley Rutschman. He is hitting the ball really hard. Do you just go to, hey, this is bad? A lot of people, when the numbers dip, go right back to the panic that we saw from a year ago when Adley Rutschman was a disaster in the second half. Do you feel like there's a bigger problem there, or is he hitting the ball hard enough that you think that this is maybe just a spate of bad luck here over the last 7 to 10 games?
Well, I hope it's just a run of bad luck for Adley. I think he looks good. I think he's squaring up balls, and I just think it's a game of constant adjustments, and these guys know it by now. You just can't be a one-swing guy. You got to be able to do a lot of different things and use the whole field. I see Adley doing that. I think he looks a lot different right now than he did, the second half of last season, even though, the batting average might be a little comparable. But he looks different. He's carrying himself different. I think Adley's going to be fine. Now it's just, can you keep him healthy through the whole season so that when he does have a setback, and it might be a health issue with getting the foul ball off the hand or the knee or the foot or something like that, can he kind of find a way to continue to have quality at bats and make the adjustments, even though his body's banged up a little bit. So that's going to be the question mark. This is still such a young team, inexperienced and learning along the way. I guess we've all hoped that, that they can put some veteran pieces in there that will help pick these young guys up and give them a little bit more of that, tenacious kind of attitude where they'll fight through this stuff instead of becoming complacent and expected.
I think that to me is the most alarming part of it, Mike, right? Is that it just sort of feels like when this team faces adversity, and it's why last weekend there was the Saturday win, you're like, oh, that's what you're waiting for, when Francis was dominating him and they couldn't. And then it looked like the Orioles that we fell in love with, right, in 2022 and 2023. But it just sort of feels like this team, when this group faces adversity, when things start going south and their starting pitcher doesn't look good, it just feels like there's no fight in this group right now. I think, and I know that can't be quantified. I can't come up with a statistic that proves that. It's very anecdotal, but I don't know, Mike. That's been the toughest part about watching this group to me this season.
Well, yeah, they certainly haven't come through enough to make us feel warm and fuzzy about that. Never say die attitude. And especially, listen, I know yesterday was a clunker and stuff like that, but wow, it was pretty visible that they just wanted to be off the field and kind of, you still got to be a pro and go about your business and try to go as hard as you can, every night. And I guess that's kind of, what I worry about a little bit. Yeah, just digging deep and having that little edge where you got to fight and scrape and claw. The difference between winning and losing many times comes down to just that attitude. Do you have that inner value where you're just going to fight and do everything you can and not just wave the flag and say, okay, you got us today when you're behind by 3 or 4 runs. You got to be a pro. You're representing Baltimore, and you got to get after it the right way. And I still think that they have it in them. But it helps when they get a little bit more starting pitching. I think that'll help build a little more confidence in all of us.
To the point Glenn was just making about that, where it felt like last year that guy was Anthony Santander. When it felt like they were in a rut, he was going to put together a 10-pitch at-bat and try to spark this offense in some way. Do you feel – how much do you feel like they're missing Santander? Is there a guy in this lineup you see who can kind of try to replace that and be the stopper in the lineup?
Well – I think Cedric's kind of stepping up right now and being a great team leader. Right? And yeah, he's played a super brand of baseball, and he's hoping guys will kind of follow suit. I don't know that Cedric is the guy that's going to be the, screaming in the clubhouse and just not take it anymore and say, let's go. We got to pick it up a little bit. I don't know that he's the guy to do that, and I honestly don't know that anybody's in that clubhouse. There may be a couple guys that are getting a little frustrated with all this, but it'd be nice if they did. And a lot of times that comes from guys that have been through it, before. Like I said, this is a young team, but they've have had success, although this young team hasn't won many playoff games yet. So
none.
They've got to find a way to, turn the corner. I think they always talk about this being the process and staying with the process. Well, this is the process of building and getting calloused, where you get knocked down and you better find a way to get up, because there's 140 more of these babies to go. And if you're going to sit around and let the American League East and everybody else kick your butt, and guys can't play because they got hit on the elbow and that kind of stuff, are you serious? You better dig a little bit deeper, just a little bit deeper, if you're going to find a way to compete in the American League East.
Let's go. I'm fired up now. I'm fired. Let's go, Mike Bordick. Bordy, what all are we plugging for you, man? The podcast, obviously League of Dreams. Give me the whole Baseball Warehouse. Give me the whole rundown of everywhere that people can find you, Mike Bordick.
Yeah, well, I did have a great lesson this morning over at the Baseball Warehouse, so check them out. Always doing good things. I know there's some school breaks, so, we've done some clinics here recently, too. Teaching a good brand of baseball. League of Dreams, man, we got a busy couple months coming up. This is our mid-season right now for the League of Dreams. You got to check us out at leagueofdreams.org. Our partnership with the community college is just getting stronger and stronger, and we're into STEM now, the science, technology, engineering, and math. We've created an adaptive version, so a lot of great things happening there, but can always use the help with great sponsors in the area. Let's see. Yeah, Baltimore baseball tonight, doing that with 105.7 The Fan. Even though the Orioles aren't playing great, it's still great talking baseball, my favorite sport, and just love it. So I'll keep encouraging them best way I can and talking well about the O's, our hometown team. And, of course, I got the Be More Baseball podcast with Jerry Coleman and I, and we've had some sensational guests, and I encourage everybody to check it out, and please subscribe and like, because that's how we get more attention, and we can keep it going. So last week we had Jeff Rebele on. You remember the Randy Johnson killer?
Bordy,
one of my favorites.
By the way, not only was Jeff Rebele one of my favorites, he's like the nicest human being on the face of the planet. This is going to sound so...
Yeah.
I just through radio over the years I connected with Jeff Rebele, and he'll send me a message on my birthday every year. He's the nicest guy alive.
He's such a good dude. And you talk about somebody with grit and fire and passion, and knowing the right way to prepare for Randy Johnson and anybody else that came along his way. I mean, tremendous player.
One of my favorite home runs in Orioles history for sure.
Yeah.
Bordy, love you, brother. Appreciate you. Let's talk again real soon. Thank you for doing this morning, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Mike Bordick with us here on GCR. He's fired up. I get it. I do. I really do. And his point is, yes, let Jackson Holiday hit lefties. Somebody would say, can it be worse at the moment? Yeah, it's a fair question. Can it be worse? That's sort of what we're asking ourselves. The answer, by the way, is always yes. It can be worse. It just doesn't feel like it could be, because it's so bloody disappointing. What's going on with Jorge Mateo? That's part of the we challenge everyday players. We don't challenge part-time players the same way. We just feel like they should be cast aside. But this isn't what the expectation should be for Jorge Mateo. Jorge Mateo has been better than this. Not as an everyday player. As an everyday player, we realize he's limited. He's had good months. So. But as simply a platoon player, the expectation is that he should be better than this. I don't know what that means. I don't have that answer, but I understand the opinion. All right, you wanna talk to Jeremy? You want to do 3 up, 3 down? Take a break. Give me the rundown. Time-wise. What do you want to do?
We should probably take a break.
Take a break and then talk to Jeremy, or take a break and do 3 up and.
Can we do 3 up after Jeremy?
All right, that's fine. We'll grab a break, then we'll talk to Jeremy.
I'm eager
Conn.
to get to it too, but
yeah, it's a thrilling week. We'll talk to Jeremy Conn, 105.7 The Fan, when we come back in. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an easy pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your EasyPass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your EasyPass account. There, you just saved money with EasyPass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your EasyPass at driveeasymd.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland Music Celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com. Where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR's Continue Along here on a Monday edition of the program. CountySports.zone is where you should turn for everything related to high school sports here in the state of Maryland. Boys and girls lacrosse. Ooh, there's a big one tomorrow. Calvert Hall Spalding is tomorrow. That is massive. Boys and girls lacrosse, baseball, softball, every spring sport. They've got you covered. Scores, schedules, rankings, updates, everything you could need to know about high school sports here in the state of Maryland. You can find it at CountySports.zone, and it's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. CountySports.zone, again, is the website. Buyatoyota.com, and check it, is proudly sponsors it. You can check them out today. Yeah, you heard that right, Chris. Yes, the Masson is doing an over-the-top thing. You can make your own jokes about, of all the times. It's something they should do. It's correct. It will be interesting, again, to see in the future of Masson with no nationals next year whether or not this is just the route they're going, whether they just sort of shutter the Masson network and accept that Masson is a digital offering. That will be a fascinating, I don't know if that would be next year, when that would be, but you have to have a digital hub in order to be able to do that. So we'll see if that's the first sign of things to come. If the last two moves, finally the separation with the Nationals, and now finally offering this over-the-top opportunity for fans with Masson Plus, if those two things are a sign that Masson is planning for, or the Orioles are planning for,
the future of broadcasting games to not be related to cable television. As we continue to say, at some point, definitively, it will be. Because at some point, cable television is going to go by the wayside. Like, this is it's a when, not if. The toothpaste is not going back in the tube. It's just at what point enough people have moved away that there is no point in serving it. They continued to make DVDs for a long time. It's just that at some point, there weren't enough people left to buy them that it was worth making them. Cable television is going to die. It's not cable television might die. It's not cable television will die. I don't know what the year will be. Some of it will be based on the decisions that those companies make. Disney, at what point did they say, hey, it's not worth it for us any longer to have ESPNU and ESPN2? And they just say, look, we got an app. That's where it all is. Go find it. We don't need to run reruns of the same shows throughout the course of the day. You can go find those as well on the app. It's going to happen. It's a when. And at some point, there will be no cable. The question is, do you get ahead of that? And that's, I think, the interesting question from Masson. Do they get ahead of it? And they say, hey, with no Nationals games anymore, we're not really doing programming the rest of the year. And now we have this digital offering. Do they choose to simply say, we are a digital service moving forward? Because in that world, then anyone who is currently using Masson might just say, hey, I'd rather pay for the Orioles games than pay for, I really only have the cable because I want to watch Orioles games. I'll just go over the top. And for them, it might be more valuable. I don't know. We'll have to do the math. But it's tougher and tougher to get those big fees in cable television because there's fewer and fewer cable subscribers. It's a Monday every Monday. This man joins us here on GCR. You, of course, know him from the Big Bad Morning Show on 105.7 The Fan, as well as ConcreteLocks.com. He's JConn Sports on Twitter. Jeremy Conn, I need your full breakdown. I know you have lots of thoughts about Seth Rollins, and I know you're very interested in his biblical name, and John Cena. Give me your full breakdown of WrestleMania from the weekend, pal.
Yeah, it was. That's what it was.
That's what I
just.
Of all the things, on
single thing.
I know, I'm
yeah. So I was going to say, truth be told, like I still feel some of the nostalgia when WrestleMania is going on. Like, you know, from being a wrestling fan before. I just kind of, I hate saying I grew out of it because, like, I've watched bits and pieces of it and go, oh, this is really good. Oh, this is a great storyline. This guy's fantastic on the mic. Who's this new guy? But a lot of times I'm going, what is that? So it doesn't suit me anymore.
I've always been at least a little mildly surprised that you wouldn't be someone that would at least tune in for WrestleMania. That's always given me a bit of like a mild surprise, but I get it.
Well, no, I do when I'm around my friends because we used to get together and watch it every weekend. But when I moved to Glen Burnie, it's like, and then the friends started having kids, it became less and less of a priority for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well,
and then this weekend, being on Easter weekend, we were out with family the whole weekend.
Obviously,
so
I can't believe I would ask you. You, of course, were in church for 6 hours yesterday. I do understand that.
Yeah, well, no, I was running the service. But no, when I saw your post about watching WrestleMania, I almost texted you and said, hey, I'll do it. I'll come. You know, you were asking for somebody. Like, was it working?
Yeah.
I was dead serious, and then I forgot my wife and I had committed to go see her, my in-laws in the Eastern Shore.
Can I say it out loud? Easter's the worst holiday, right? Like, can we talk about this openly?
It just doesn't make any sense.
It's the worst of them. When I woke up yesterday, we don't go to church, but like we went to brunch. We always go to brunch at the golf club. I don't know why. That's what we do on Easter. Yeah, sure.
It makes sense.
They have the Easter bunnies there, and they do like an egg hunt for the kids and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason why we've always done it. But we always go, and like when I woke up, my wife was like, "Oh, by the way, I picked out a sport coat for you." And I was like, "You want me to wear what? Like what? For what? We're going to brunch. We're not."
We're not going to a funeral. Like, what the hell is this? There's no reason for it. And all it is because she wants to take, like, one picture where, like, all of us are in nice clothes in the spring. And I'm like, all right, fine.
I got to have that one memory for everyone. And then the good part about this is you'll be able to tell this story every time somebody looks at that picture.
Yeah, it's true. I can have this. That's a great point.
Coat.
No doubt. We're all. But I don't know if you. My older son, she dressed him exactly like Tony Montana, like 100%. I
saw the pictures. It was really cool. I saw some of the stuff online.
I said, dude. I said to her, I'm like, did you know what you were doing here? And she, of course, had no idea. I'm like, he couldn't look more like Scarface.
It's so good, man.
It was great.
Fly, pelican, fly.
So,
That's still my favorite thing from that movie. Is he was looking at flamingos. And he's like yelling, "Fly, pelican, fly!"
Oh,
so every time
perfect.
I see a bird,
right. It's so.
That's what I yell.
That's good. Like my beef with Easter. I guess if you're very religious, then I'm sure Easter's great, right? Like when you're a child and it's just candy. I mean, like it was always annoying to me.
Easter egg hunts.
It was still annoying to me because my
Easter egg
parents would make me dress up and would make me go to like the never-ending church service. Like they made me do all that stuff when I was a kid. My kids have it. Oh my God, I hate my kids.
How old is too old for an Easter basket, though? Is that something that you guys have talked about or no?
No, we're not there yet because they're still 10 and 8, so we're not there yet.
You still got plenty of time.
Yeah, they're still going to be in that world for a little while. We haven't started.
I do love the video
about that.
that's going around of the girl. Like everybody's doing this now of the girl that's crying, and she goes, "My mom just told me she doesn't love me," and then the mom in the background goes, "That's not what I said. I said you're too old for an Easter basket." That's the same thing. You know, the whole bit that they put on.
Yeah, I did see that.
Pretty
video.
good.
That is really good, actually. That one was good.
Yeah.
No, but it stinks, man. Like it stinks. Now I have to ask you a question. How are you as a handyman?
Oh, awful.
Okay.
Awful.
Okay. So you and
I know I don't do things that I know I'm not good at. Now, if you gave me instructions and told me to do something, I'll probably still screw it up, but I'll do it.
Okay.
You know, but
so
I'm not the guy.
I'm glad we are in a similar boat here. I get very frustrated.
My wife's our handyman.
Okay, you're Nate Bargatze.
I'm serious. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, my wife is up on the roof, right? Like,
no, not that. But I mean, like our dishwasher went up, and she's on YouTube watching how to fix the part. You know, and she's downstairs with the sump pump, and she's watching stuff on YouTube.
We were having the entire family over yesterday, and around like 12 o'clock, we noticed there was a small drip coming from the back of the toilet. Really small drip, but enough that it was, a problem. And my wife's answer was, just put tape up. We have 2 other bathrooms in this house. Put tape over the door. Tell your family they can use the other 2 bathrooms, and I'll call a guy. And I said,
out of order.
I said, I'm sick of you calling a guy. I'm sick of it. Because my wife.
Oh, you're that guy now.
But she just doesn't my wife genuinely believes that like they're giving her a great deal. Because, like, she knows these people. Whenever there's anything wrong with the house, she calls somebody. And she's like, I know them. So she thinks that, like, she's getting the hookup. Because, God love her, she has no idea how much anything costs. So she gets the number. And she's like, somebody else is probably paying 3 times as much. I'm like, no, they're just charging you what they charge. But they're nice to you and they flirt with you. And so you think that that's the way that it goes. I'm sick of it. This is probably something that can be fixed for $20. I got YouTube. I can solve this problem. Chill out. So she's screaming at me. She thinks I'm going to make it worse because she thinks that I have nothing to offer. And she's right, to be fair. Like, she's not wrong. She has reason to be concerned. But I decide I'm going to go for it. And I do all the research, and I spend time, and I realize I can just get a gasket. I can just get some new bolts, and I can fix this myself. It can be done. The YouTube people said it's a difficulty of a 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm like, a 2? I can handle. And so I dissect the problem. I solve it. I start it. But as soon as I'm into the place where I'm starting that, like, I'm getting the tank off the toilet, my father shows up. And then, of course, my father, being the man that he is, God love him, sees that I'm working on something, and now he's in there with me. Like, I can't just do it on my own. And there's a part of me that says, no, I love you, old man, but you son of a bitch, you get out of here. I'm fixing the toilet. And then, of course, my cousin shows up, and he's a handyman. And so now he's like, dude, you can do this, but I can do it a lot quicker. And then we can get on with our day of enjoying Easter, and you can get on the grill and do the other things you're supposed to do. And I want to take credit. I want to feel like I accomplished something, but I don't know that I can. And I think I should just feel emasculated again because ultimately I did not do all of the work, even though I dissected it and I figured out what the problem was and I was down the path. I don't know how I can feel about myself as a man.
See, all right, so there's a lot to unload here because as soon as you started talking about like handyman stuff, like I guess initially when my wife and I started dating, she would ask me, "Hey, do you think you can do this?" And the answer was always no. Like it was, and I think it stems from my childhood when my dad, like for example, my dad would try to get us to put the Christmas lights up, and I would do such a horrible job that he never asked me again to do it. And all I would do is complain about doing it. He'd get tired of it. So my older brother was the one that was forced to do everything that involved the roof. I mowed the lawn, but any type of housework that was deemed to be like handyman stuff, not cleaning. So anyway, but then my wife started to do the thing where she started calling her dad for the things that I can do.
Yep.
Like, hey, I need somebody to help me bring this around back. And I'd go,
I'm right here. Right. Yeah. I'm right.
If I can definitely do that, you know.
Well, and by the way, that part never bothered me because I loved her. You know, my wife's father passed away in December. I had a great relationship with him. It was never judgmental from him. Like, we had a kick out of the fact that, like, it was good to have him around. But now he's passed away, right? Like, so now she's not calling. It's one thing if she's calling her dad because her dad's not charging us. Her dad's just like, hey, man, you know, grab me a beer or take me out, you know, we went out all the time, and I just pay for a beer or something like that. And that was cool. But now it's human beings that are charging us money. Like, that's who it's going to be moving forward. They are not our friend. They might be friendly, but they're not our friends. They're just professionals. And I feel like
they're acquaintances that charge you money.
100%. And by the way, I don't dislike them in any way. They're nice people. But I don't want to pay them $100 if it can be fixed. Ultimately, the toilet yesterday could be fixed for $13. $13. And yes, it was annoying and it took part of the day, but ultimately, I would have been able to fix it myself. This is really about a little bit about ego, way more about like
pride.
I just want to be a man. And I want to take enough credit because I dissected the problem. I was down the path. And so I want to take credit for it, but I was already thinking about, like, if I had just fixed the toilet by myself, it would have been like the man who invented fire. I would have felt so accomplished in that moment by just fixing the toilet on my own that no one could have effed with me this week. I could have fought the toughest guy in the yard if that had happened.
You know I fixed my toilet, right? And you want to start this?
Right?
This is what
That's
you
what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm a man who fixed a toilet.
I feel bad for you, buddy.
I made
But, you know, go ahead.
I made a joke on Facebook. It popped up recently on This Day. I don't know how it came up in conversation. It was related to taxes. A few years ago, somebody stole my kid's identity. We couldn't file our taxes because someone had stolen my then 3-year-old son's identity. And I don't know how but there was a back and forth.
Those poor coloring books will never be his again.
Right?
So.
It's over. Yeah. But somebody said, hey, do you know your kid's Social Security number? And my wife said something like, I know all of our Social Security numbers. No chance Glenn knows any of them, maybe not even his own. And I said back, right, but do you know how to fix a toilet? And then I said, I hope so, because I sure as hell do not. And it was a good bit.
No, I'm just saying, you were talking about loving, like you loved your in-laws, and I do too. My father-in-law is the best, but we have this ongoing joke that the rest of the family hates because my kids were out in front of my wife's grandmother's, this would be her mom's mom, out in front of her house, and they were playing catch, and they threw something. You can see where this is going. They threw something into the bush.
Yeah, of course, right.
So when I went back in the house, I asked for help because Nana's bush is too big.
Yeah,
and
there
you know it could use a good trimming.
Yeah,
and there's a weird smell coming from it. So my father-in-law, we trade these jokes back and forth over and over again, and it just pisses off everybody else. But yeah, he's awesome. He's hilarious.
And so, by the way, there was a moment when my cousin Jeff, who again I love, my cousin Jeff is one of the most important people in my life. He's like 12 years older than I am. He's been there for me the entire. He says to me, hey, where are your good wrenches? And I just look at him and I say, you're kidding. You're kidding, right?
Being so unhandy, I always had like the worst tools.
Right.
And like
correct.
anytime somebody would come over and they're helping, they're like, yeah, is this the kids? Where's the adult tools?
That's exactly what it was like. He said, he said, where are your good wrenches? I said, sir, I do snark on the internet. That's what I do. but I
So
said,
good, man.
I'll go look. I'll go poke around to see if I've got a better wrench somewhere. And then my father
Is that what you do?
sees
You just walk away and pretend like you're looking for something? What you talking about? Those wrenches are fun.
it really is Nate Bargatze on the water heater. They're like, where's the water heater? And he says, I don't think we have one, and I'd like to purchase one from you right now. And so I walk
It's
out.
like the first time changing a tire on a car, right? When you get that little crappy jack, and then all of a sudden you see somebody that has. It's like, well, why isn't everybody using that? That thing's easy.
Correct. That makes it's like cheating, 100%. Like if I had your tools, I could do this. But I walk out and I'm like, look, I know I'm not gonna find better wrenches. They're not there. They don't exist. But my father sees that I'm sort of poking around, and he's like, "What you looking for, son?" And I was like, "I'm trying to see if I got any better wrenches." And of course he's like, "Well, I've got 2 wrench sets in my car." I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Of course you do, because you're an actual man. So you carry multiple wrench sets with you wherever you are." Sure.
I like when the guy opens up the toolbox and then it opens up to other
another
toolboxes
toolbox,
and
right?
all these freaking things. Like, what is all this?
I have a hammer. I have a hammer and some pliers and like maybe both a Phillips and flathead screwdriver, but maybe not.
Why do you have a wrench that's 117 and 118? You know, it's like you've got every single size there is. It doesn't matter.
That was my
But,
father's wrench set.
Yeah, see, that's great, and I'm so happy that when we, a lot of times when I come on the show, we talk about everything but Charlie Morton.
Yeah, correct. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like, dude, you know where I am with this is like everybody's points are correct. Everybody's right? Like whatever you're bitching about today, you're right. But except for the part where you think they're gonna fire somebody today, like that's just not. It's not happening. Brandon Hyde, if this continues like this, not because of anything, whatever you feel about Brandon Hyde, whether you think he's a good manager or a bad manager, indifferent. If it stays like this, at some point Brandon Hyde might be fired this season. Because that's just how baseball works, right? Like if it's disappointing, you just fire the manager because you got to do something. But it sure as hell isn't going to be today. The earliest it would be after Memorial Day. Far more likely it would be, I don't know, maybe around the All-Star break, something like that, for like one final chance to kick it in the butt, and hopefully you get a couple pitchers back and give him an actual shot. But if you do that, like if you fire Brandon Hyde and you give the next guy this same group of pitchers, what in the F do you think? How is Buck Britton getting anything different from this group of pitchers than what Brandon Hyde is?
Yeah, and again, there's like I get tired of the and he said it a couple times. I like Brandon Hyde and I love Mike Elias. So like I'm one of those Elias truthers. I'll fight everybody on it, and I don't care. And you're allowed to feel the way you want. I think this guy's been a godsend to the team, and the way he drafts is amazing. We have to look at the free agency stuff when we first really started to get into it. And was there a player that they coveted? Was there a player that they want? Did they offer him a legitimate contract to miss out? All those things. But when it comes I hate when Hyde starts talking about, oh, we paid these guys, so we brought them on the team. I don't care that you paid them. You can pay their asses to sit down. Like if somebody's hot or there's something going on, and this is the thing I got into on the morning show is that, analytical people don't believe in hot and cold streaks for the most part. Like it's not part of the process of looking at it because there's no such thing as a hot streak. You are just what you are over time. Does that make sense to you? Like you don't have to agree with it. But...
Right. No, I know what you're saying, and I think to some extent there is truth to that.
Because you don't bench Cedric Mullins after he had that start he had just because he's facing a soft tossing lefty. I fully believe in the lefty-righty matchup thing, but there are guys that you need to find out if they're everyday players or not. Like you're not sitting Gunner. You're going to sit Gunner on an off day against Chris Sale or something. That's probably when you plan it out. But you're not just sitting him because the lefty's on the mound. We're not. It's so silly to me that that's how we look at things. And I don't need to see Gary Sanchez and Jorge Mateo in the lineup anymore. I just don't.
Right, but somebody else has to catch. You know what I mean? Like that's the tricky part is that like they're not going to catch Adley Rutschman every day. They're just not going to do it.
Why didn't they sign Austin Wins back?
Oh, I get it from that standpoint. I'm just saying you don't need to put him in the lineup
on the
to get
same
him
day.
at bats because you're paying him. Yeah.
Well, that's the part that like the only area where you and I might separate is the bloom is a bit off the rose for me on Mike Elias. Not that I think he's incompetent, but more like in the digging that I do on this, I do think a lot more of these decisions are driven from Mike Elias than they are from Brandon Hyde. And I know that it's a marriage of some
he
sort.
has said that that's not necessarily true, but I agree with you.
But even when he said it wasn't true, he kind of then confirmed that it was after he's like, look, I don't set the lineups, but. And then he went on
have
to
a group that talks to
he went on to say, look, we give them all the information. And that's the way it's always whenever I've brought this up, people have been like, are you suggesting that Brandon Hyde or that Mike Elias is calling down to tell you when to pinch hit? I'm saying no. I'm saying the way that it exists in this organization is at the front office. And when I say Mike Elias, it's Mike Elias and it's Sig Mejdal and it's Eve Rosenbaum. They've decided what data is most significant to the organization, the data points that they believe matter the most. And that is presented to management with the understanding that this is how we do things. And based on these being the most relevant data points, this is what we think should be done. And that matters. Like, you're not spitting in the face. They're running the team. Brandon Hyde is not running the team. He does not have the autonomy to freewheel and make decisions, nor would any other manager and by the way, nor does basically any other manager in baseball. At this point, the general managers run baseball. The manager's actual decision making it's a great conversation to have with somebody like Buck Showalter, who knows at this point they're out of the game, to really open up about exactly what the role of a manager even is anymore, because it is basically made for you at this point. I think Bruce Bochy still has a little autonomy. I'll bet that Terry Francona still has a little bit of autonomy, right? But it's a very limited number of managers that actually truly have autonomy in these situations to make decisions beyond what the organization says. And, like, they are the ones that chose that the pivot from Corbin Burns was going to be Charlie Morton and Tomo Sagano.
I don't think that's what they chose. I think that's what happened. But, and again, you could sit here and say they should have been better prepared for this, because I think all along they knew
Corbin Burns wasn't going
back.
Yes.
But they weren't going to pay Fried what he got. They weren't going to pay Snell what he got. The one thing that I kind of differ with some people on, and people call me a homer and like, oh, you're just defending them, this and that. Like, baseball's a long season, and I think a lot of this and how I look at baseball stems from my time working with Scott. Like, I used to be the fan getting all up in arms over everything, and then I started watching the games a little bit differently. And especially after, like, kind of talking to Buck Showalter off the air about some of the things that they're dealing with bullpen arms that the public's not privy to, and they're not going to tell you who needs a night off. Like, it was kind of an honest take from Brandon Hyde when he said, hey, Charlie, we need you tomorrow. And Charlie said, I got 2 1/3. That's the best offer I can give you.
And they won't be good.
And that's just what happened. So, but with Mike Elias a long time ago, he basically said, we're going to be run like the Rays. And I think that's kind of true. And he's done that, where we're going to take viable options, or the dented can theory. Like, oh, this is on sale for 15% off. It's not as good as that, but I definitely like this. And I think we're going to get a lot of that. But the thing that they haven't shown us is, are we going to sign our own? Are we going to keep these guys? Because it sounds like ownership is willing to pay. We need to figure out what the disconnect is, and are they waiting for something to pay for? Because they're not going to tell us that, like, we covet this free agent, or we want to get our own guy signed to a long-term deal. And fans keep saying, well, why are you doing it? Other teams are doing it. The young guys don't want to. And if I was them, I wouldn't have signed Jackson Merrill's deal if I was Jackson Merrill.
So it's a fair, that I think is fair, with the one qualification there being that he is far enough away from, like, if you're Adley Rutschman, there's no way that you're signing a deal like that, right? Like, you're too close. Jackson Merrill still.
He's the one I think could, just because he's a catcher. I think the other guys, I mean, if you look at the catcher market, it's kind of set what you're going to pay him. It's not like somebody's going, oh, you're getting $10 million more than Will Smith a year or something.
It also depends.
You kind of know what it is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You're right about that. I still think that, like, you've got a lot of money. You signed for a lot of money when you signed. You got a lot of money already now in arbitration. You are eternally better off negotiating with every team than you are negotiating with one team, right? But for Jackson Merrill, who's only 1 year in, is still that far away from having that opportunity. I can see where taking the money is beneficial to him, but you just don't have that option with, like.
But with the way he's playing, he'd get even more in arbitration, though. Like, it's
probably true.
You
at
have
this
the
point,
chance
right?
to make so much more, but it's safe, right?
It's
taking
safe,
it to
yes.
set yourself up for the rest of your life.
And also, I don't know what his
I
insurance
get that.
policy. Like, somebody would say that you needed to have a better insurance policy in place, right? Like, that was the thing that nobody talked about during the Lamar Jackson situation, was like, he was willing to fight because he also needed an insurance policy that was going to pay him if he got injured during the franchise year. Like, he knew that was in play, and so he was willing to fight over it. I say all this to say, like, I don't think that Mike Elias is an idiot. I don't think that he doesn't know what he's doing. But if the answer is, well, we really wanted Corbin Burns, and we just weren't willing to spend this amount of money on these other pitchers, that's an easy thing to say, and we can always justify that. But you've also had the philosophy of not drafting pitchers. Like, you can't have it both ways. It can't be that young pitchers are too volatile to draft and free agent pitchers are too volatile to sign. Like, at some point, you have to have pitching. Have to. And that's
I'd rather draft it than deal with this in the free agent market, because so far we've only seen one contract really live up to it from start to finish.
Scherzer was right. You know, like obviously the best big money ever spent on a pitcher. And it's fair. Like, I'm not telling you that it's unfair to say it. I almost wonder if we have to judge the pitching signings in a different way, which is this is just the price of playing. Like, even if it doesn't work out, the alternative isn't, well, look how well we did in not spending this money. The alternative is you don't have pitching.
Let me ask you this: Would you get to a point? Let's say 5 years down the road, we're looking at it, and Jackson Holliday is killing it. He looks like the prospect he was.
Yeah.
Basayo's the best catcher in baseball, and Kobe Mayo looks somewhat similar to what Pete Alonso is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you then say, "Hey, I'm so glad we didn't trade those guys," or do you feel like they wasted these years, which were perfect years?
It's a great question, right? It's an eternally good question.
It's a big if.
In some way, it's almost the argument that like the Ravens make, right? Like the Ravens' argument is we never are going in for 1 year. We always want to be relevant. We always want to have the window open. And obviously, it's different in a salary cap sport, right, than it is in baseball, but. It's a similar concept, which is, no, we don't trade away these assets because these assets are going to be the ones that fortify us for the years to come. But there is something to be said for it, but what do you have to show for it? And I think that's the frustrating part. What you said about, like, Mike Elias in Tampa, I believed him when he said it. And I think there was an argument for also trade both ways. Like, identify when someone has.
That we should be run like. I think we should be run like Tampa if we still had old ownership.
Correct, and that in the moment it made sense. When the new ownership came into place, the idea would be they should be the ones telling him, no, we don't have to do that. Like, I get why you thought that was a good idea, but we're telling you, you don't have to. You're allowed to take risks. We will cover if something doesn't work out. It's going to be okay. We will accept that. Not every signing is going to work out. Don't worry as much about the volatility of them. Worry about putting the best team on the field. And that's the part that I think is frustrating is that to the point we think they are loosely suggesting that's the case. They're not coming out and saying, we wanted him to spend and he refused to. That's just something that's been inferred by people. The ownership has never said that. But we have reason to believe that they're willing to spend, and yet that didn't happen. And it is perplexing in this moment. And it is eerily similar to me, Jeremy, of the Manny Machado thing, which is it's got to be one of three. There are three options for what you can do. You can sign a player long-term. If you have a special player, you can sign them long-term and commit to extending your window because of it. You can acknowledge that you're probably not going to be able to do that and go all in, truly all in, to try to win while you have that player, or you trade that player when their value is the greatest because you just say we're not going to do it. And the Orioles, of course, Manny Machado did none of those three things, and you start to fear that with this group of guys, that it's the same. What is the plan here? Because you can't tell me the plan is going to try to win a World Series because you're not doing the things necessary to win a World Series.
Well, so here's the other part of that too, is with and what you're talking about with Elias, and that I think the one thing I found really interesting or weird, however you want to put it, is when Corbin Burns said they offered him $45 million a year for 4 years, and then you start doing the math, and you're going, okay, well, what did he sign for? $210?
Right.
It's like you 2 less years and 30 less. You guys couldn't have gone another year at $45 million, or at least met the number he had. It seems weird that you were willing to go $180 million, but you weren't willing to go $210, or you get what I'm saying?
I think
that seems odd to me.
I've been really confused by everything, sir. I keep coming back to, were you serious about bringing Corbin Burns back? Like, was that the priority? Was it Corbin Burns or bust? Like, what?
I really think they have their system set over there. Like,
this is just what it is.
If the juice isn't worth the squeeze in their mind, if it doesn't add up, then no, we're not doing
this.
it. Like,
this is the number. And that might it might be very well be that at the owners' meetings every year, all the general managers get together and they award someone like who made the best decisions. and you get a plaque for that or something. And it might very well be that your Pythagorean model is the best Pythagorean model there is. You have truly discovered the math for exactly what a baseball player's value is, and you've nailed it. But that plaque is not going to be something that we're going to throw a parade for. Like, it's never I keep trying to you can make the argument for why something is a bad signing, but not having pitching is the worst signing. Like, that's the worst one. You go, look, man, I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. It is miserable that they have sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into nothing. They have nothing to show for it. It sucks. But you know what? It sucks no worse than when they weren't trying under the last owner for years post Steve Nash. Like, it's not a worse feeling. It's the exact same feeling. It's just bad. There's no, hey, this was bad and we wasted money. Well, it's not my money. Like, I'm not the one paying it. Go try. Like, this notion that, like, it's a bad, well, this was a bad contract. Right, but, like, not signing somebody's bad, too.
Yeah, that works out the same. I do think that some of the points are very fair. There's too many people out there. It's fire this guy, fire that guy. They should have done this. I mean, they came into the season with 10 starting pitchers, and then the whole store got the flu. Like, everybody got hurt. And it's weird. And they may not have been the 10 starting pitchers that you wanted, but at least you had depth in case you had 2 injuries to your 2 best pitchers. And now you want your worst pitcher to get hurt in some way.
Right. Boy, it would be beneficial to a lot of people if there could be there were people. By the way, I said on Friday night that I thought that they should have just sent Povich down, right? Because, like, as much as we like Povich and we think there's something there, like, he's got a +2 whip. I can't pretend, like, because I want Cade Povich to be good, that there's an argument for him to be at the major league level right now. There's just not. He's not. Yeah. He's not a major league pitcher right now. So I'm talking about that. And somebody said, "Well, just tell Morton he's got to go on a rehab assignment." I'm like, what? Do you hear yourself?
You tell Morton he might retire at that point. Like, we were just talking about this with Bordick, where he was like, Mike Bordick was saying, it's probably his decision when he wants to go. You know, like, as far as, hey, we'll let you leave on your own terms or we're going to cut you. Or, hey, would you go on a rehab assignment? That's going to be his choice, because if he says no, then it's just no, and then you either got to cut him or let him do what he wants.
Let him keep pitching every 5th day and soaking up. And as I said this, I said this to somebody last night who said, it's just time. I don't care that they paid him $15 million. He's not good enough. And I said, yes, 1, you're right. 2, they won't because it is $15 million. But 3, they should. 4, but somebody has to pitch. Like, that's the problem in the moment. It's easy to say it can't be charged.
Mateo late in the game?
That's true. It's a good point. Maybe you can look. Like, somebody has to. They don't have a better option. That's the terrifying part, is that he's not good enough, and they don't have a better option than that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It kind of. And the funny thing too, like talking about Mateo, I heard Mateo's name and 3 hits mentioned, and then I turned on the game and realized he gave up 3 hits. So. Wasn't really what I wanted.
Oh,
hey,
man.
I'm getting to
give me the rundown.
I want to send you something.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just texted you something because I wanted to talk about this because I think you'll understand it because you like food as much as I do.
Yes.
Have you ever had, like, absolute joy and disappointment all in the same moment? Because this is what I had. So I told the story last week. We were at my mom's birthday party.
Okay.
About the best cupcake I've ever had was this banana pudding cupcake that my cousin made.
Yeah. You've talked. Yes, correct.
Yeah, so she just launched, her company just opened up in Happy Grace, Totally Baked by Tay or whatever. You can see it on there. So the first weekend, my mom went to pick up cupcakes, and I'm all excited. And then she sent me this picture that I sent you, to where I was so excited for these cupcakes, but the banana pudding one wasn't on the menu.
Okay. We have something in common. We do. Go ahead. You can finish the thought on the cupcakes. And I have a similar story.
Oh, so like the banana pudding cupcake, I have not stopped thinking about this thing. And as I told everybody else, I climbed Dick Mountain mouth first to get another one, man. I just don't, it's so effing good. And it's my cousin, so I'd love to push her business, but it's more than that. Like her cupcakes are so effing amazing that even when I got these 6 and the banana pudding one's not in there, I have to keep it closed because if not, I'll eat 3 of those bastards right now by myself.
I'm definitely willing to look. I don't eat sweets. It's not my thing, but I'm willing to listen about a strawberry pretzel salad cupcake. That absolutely sounds very interesting to me.
I mean, the stuffed Oreo cupcake, the Reese's, like everything you can think of.
All I could think about yesterday was I didn't want to put on the stupid sports jacket. I had no interest. Easter's not for me. It's not my thing. But at least when I get to this golf course, they have a deviled egg station, right? And there's few things that I enjoy more in life than deviled eggs. So I'm walking into the golf course, and all I'm thinking about, at least I'm going to have at least 8. Like, my wife is not going to be able to sleep with me tonight because I'm going to be farting uncontrollably from the amount of deviled eggs that I'm about to consume. And I walk in, and I'm looking around, and they're doing some things different, really. Like, right? They got them. Here's the omelet station, and over here they now have a Parmesan Reggiano pasta station. They got the cheese bowl and everything, and they've got all these. Like, where the hell is the deviled egg table? Where is it? Somebody get the son of a bitch. And I realize it's the egg economy. They are not doing the deviled egg station this year. And I had a meltdown. I mean, I had an actual meltdown in front of everybody. I said, what? We will never come back. Never. And then I decided, I think people have been over. I'm not a political person. I think there's been a little bit of, I'm ready to start marching. I am ready. You get me a vagina hat right now. I'm going out to march. I'm doing it.
For the deviled egg march?
I'll do it. If that's where we are, is the economy is so bad that we can't have the deviled egg station at Easter, then it's not worth having an economy. It's not worth being a country. Who are we as a people if we're losing the deviled egg station? It's over. She said they got a cheese wheel. I said, the hell, a pox on your cheese wheel. Deviled eggs.
No tariffs on cheese, just on the eggs?
Just on, apparently it's just an egg problem, and everybody keeps screaming about it, but you know what? It hadn't impacted me until yesterday, and now I'm ready to be politically active. I don't know what that means. I don't know who I'm yelling at.
Well, you know where your line is now. What would set you off to actually go through a march? And
this is the
go
moment.
Scorched earth.
This
on
is the moment.
Yeah.
It's the deviled eggs. It's the banana pudding cupcake. It's the deviled eggs. That's where I'm at this point.
I'll have to bring you some of those cupcakes and see what you like.
Oh boy. We still have to do. You still have to do the hot dogs. We still have to do that with you.
Yeah. When do you want to do it?
Griffin, make it a priority to nail that down. A date. All right.
So then just have Griffin text me. We'll figure out a date because I do have way more free time now to make.
All right. Give me your rundown.
Oh man, so you can follow me on Twitter at JConSports. ConcreteLocks.com had a huge weekend. By the way, on Friday I told everybody to bet the Cubs over. I said, if you've ever trusted me on one thing, please bet the Cubs over today. This is the best spot I've seen all year. 2-1, top of the 7th. The total was 11. And then they scored 21 runs from the 7th inning on.
Wild. That's so wild.
And the hate mail I got, and then the apologies I got immediately after, were I couldn't even be mad. It was hilarious.
That's
it was
really
so
funny. That is really funny.
But no, yeah, it's been primarily that. All three of us are back, even though Ed and I are out tomorrow for the morning show. We both have doctor's appointments. But yeah, it's kind of fun getting to this point where we have all these things going on this weekend, as you mentioned, with WrestleMania and everything else. It's just jam packed. So. Lots to talk about.
Love you, buddy. We'll talk again next Monday. Thank you, pal. Appreciate you.
Sounds good, man. I'll see you.
Jeremy Conn with us. Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan. That got away from me in a hurry. All right, we come back in. We'll go a quick version of 3 Up and 3 Down, Tidbit and Tubi to wrap it up on Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you. Cooking, and serving, but that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard. And coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, very good. It is a Monday, and every Monday we react to the week that was in Orioles baseball.
Three up.
And 3 down.
Yeah, and this week the Orioles went 3 up and 3 down.
Yeah,
so.
first 3-win week of the season.
There you go. So
gotta
you're
feel
saying
good about
we
it.
start with the up. That's what you're suggesting is that this was.
I mean, yes. I guess.
Sometimes in soccer, I'll say somebody won 1-1. Like when the U.S. played
Brazil or whatever.
No, England in the World Cup and finished in a scoreless draw. That was a 0-0 victory for the U.S. You're saying this was a 3-3 win.
It felt like that until probably yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday feels like
they
it
just
counted
lost.
for a
I don't
couple.
know.
So do you want to
4-3?
start with the negative then? You want to go the other way?
I don't care where we start.
Let's start with the down. Let's do that. I will say that all of the position players got respite for me on the down list. I certainly considered.
I had one on there.
I certainly considered Adley Rutschman because obviously it was not a good week, but he did hit the crap out of the ball. I do think that it's fair to say this is some bad luck, and that's what it is. I certainly considered Jordan Westberg, but it turned enough over the weekend for me to.
Neither of those two guys on my down list.
Did I consider anybody else for down? I don't think I really considered anybody else for down. But anyway, my number 3 is, again, CNL Perez, and you can say, I think the only argument for not putting CNL Perez on the list is that, like, it almost feels unsportsmanlike at some point. Like, he's not really disappointing us. He's just living up to expectations.
CNL Perez, you know.
But you still can't ignore the fact that he's wildly
bad.
And completely ineffective and offers nothing. And, CNL Perez is number 3.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he escapes my list again. He's been too forgettable. Maybe I don't know. Povich is on my list.
Povich is higher on my list.
He's my number 3. The five walk. I mean, he was bad. It was 5 walks
awful.
On Friday. He couldn't get through 4 innings. It was very. It was
well,
very
and,
bad
look,
and
he's number 2. He's number 2 on the list, and like we continue to try to want to treat him with kid gloves, right? Like you're trying to give but you're very pretty, and we still like you. You're our guy, and I understand it, but he's on the major league team, and he's not good enough, and maybe he will be, and somebody might say, and maybe the Orioles thought it's still better for him to be here and work through it here than it is to be at AAA. Maybe. But in the meantime, you need somebody who can pitch, and Povich isn't that. He's, as I pointed out earlier, his whip is over 2. That is as disastrous as it gets. He's number 2 on my list. list?
I went with Tyler O'Neill is my number 2 this week. He went 1 for 12,
Yeah.
and he comes over, and I mean, I guess he's got multiple jobs, but in reality, he was brought here because he is supposed to hit left-handed pitching. He struck out on 3 pitches, his first at-bat against Andrew Abbott. He struck out 3 times. All 3 times he faced Andrew Abbott. Not a single competitive at-bat.
Easy over there, boy.
It was ridiculous.
Did he?
And he had 2 days off before. I know he's got the neck thing. He better hope it's like a C1 through 8, like and be completely done. Like he's done nothing. It's been unbelievable.
That's not fair. He hasn't done nothing.
And I know Adley had a bad week.
You're wrong
had a bad
about
week.
that.
Westbrook had a bad week. Gunner's off to a slow start. Those guys are not part of the issue right now. This guy was brought in, and again, maybe
Well, they are part of the issue.
And we're gonna get to number 1, and
you're zeroing in on Tyler O'Neill, and I understand. And I'm not trying to say that Tyler O'Neill's been great, but you're zeroing in, and you're not.
Went
you're
1
doing
for 12. He struck out 8 times this week.
I understand that. I understand. He did not have a good week, and part of it was he only had 12 plate appearances, and so that was one of my issues in whether or not he could be considered. He definitely wasn't good, and I have no problem with the fact that he's on your list. I do think Povich should be higher, but that's a different.
I know that Suter or whatever was only going to go ever going to go 3 innings yesterday. You have a lefty starting on the mound. This guy's not even in the lineup. That's how much they.
Okay, but I don't know that. It's easy to say. It's easy to say. Well, he could.
Tyler O'Neill is for sure bottom down this week. This is a negative this week for Tyler O'Neill, and what has been a disappointment through the first 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks.
Well, this is where we would separate. He's been about what I expected him to be.
So that's and I guess again, this is me taking probably more of my anger out on the way this team was constructed.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it.
I'm yelling
right?
at the players because that's who we see every day.
Like I didn't have high hopes for Tyler O'Neill. I thought he was now again, if you want to say, to me he was a glorified platoon player. And if your argument is right, but he's not even really been a strong platoon player, well, you're right about that, right? Like I don't disagree with you, but he's been a better hitter this year than he was last year. Like I just don't think Tyler O'Neill's that good. I think he's just kind of a guy. Which was the reason why he was.
They gave $50 million though. So
well, not really. They gave him essentially a 1-year deal that might turn into a bigger number, but essentially they gave him a 1-year deal.
Last 4 games he's played, he struck out at least twice.
He strikes out a lot. There's not a lot. That's who Tyler O'Neill. If you got Tyler O'Neill and didn't think he was going to strike out a ton, then you got the wrong guy. Like this is what he is.
Has he been better than last year? I mean, he was he's OPSing at 750 right now. Like,
yeah, he hit more home runs. That's your argument. Is he had more power. He was on a better. Now you got to give him the summer. I think last year he was a 241 hitter. This year he's a 246 hitter. So he is.
Can't wait to watch him more.
He is hitting better than he was a year ago. And if he hits more home runs, then he probably matches last year.
Start throwing out more guys on the bases. Like, God.
I'm not telling you I'm high on Tyler O'Neill. I'm not.
I thought incredibly disappointing for and again, we're looking for somebody in this team to spark something. And
yeah,
this is a guy again, one of the guys you gave money.
I agree with all of your critiques, with the only exception being like disappointing to me because I just had such little expectation for Tyler O'Neill.
And a lot of it's. I mean, I know I keep bringing him up. I miss Anthony Santander. And
I do too.
This is
I don't.
You replace
as I said,
Santander
you're a
with,
worse team with Tyler O'Neill than Anthony Santander. You can do the Pythagorean like, well, we have to pay him X percentage, and I think that Tyler O'Neill can be X percentage of that play. You don't need X percentage of that. You need that player, and Tyler O'Neill's not that guy. Hopefully
he's my number 2.
Be healthier, hit some home runs. Look, Charlie Morton's number 1. And
I was big spot yesterday, coming in late in the game, and he gives up a grand slam.
Yeah, shameful, right? Real shameful.
Can't be doing that.
Charlie Morton's number 1, and number 1 with a bullet. There is nothing more that needs to be said about that.
I think he's been my number 1 every week.
Well, he's very bad, so I'm not. It's not surprising. He's not good at baseball, which is a shame because he's a baseball player. So it's okay for me to not be good at baseball. For him, it's a tough thing. To me, the 2 of the ups were easy. The third one was difficult. There are actually a few more candidates because, again, they did win 3 games this week. I thought about Ramon Laureano. I thought about Ryan O'Hearn.
Thought about Scott Blewett.
Yeah, not really, but I ultimately went to Heston Kjerstad at number 3. I think in part because his uptick is more encouraging than other upticks. Now, I get it. Like, as soon as there's encouraging, then there's the discouraging of him getting hit with a baseball and not being able to play. But if this is a sign of Heston Kjerstad figuring things out at the major league level, that could have serious ramifications. We don't know that yet. Right now, it's just, and I think it's still only like 12 at-bats, if I remember correctly. But what it could mean just stood out a little bit more than even O'Hearn and Laureano did, so Kjerstad's my number 3.
I went with O'Hearn as my number 3.
It's fine.
Again,
very good week.
Big home runs.
Really good week.
Given the lead on Thursday. And
no doubt.
Came on the show that day as well. So
yeah, got the bump, right? Like the whole thing. No, I mean, I'm not going to. Ryan O'Hearn had an outstanding week, no question about it. I was struggling between who should be 2 and who should be 1 this week. I ultimately went the other way. Cedric Mullins is number 2. Cedric Mullins has been this team's best baseball player, obviously, since day one. I just think the significance of the other one stands out a little bit more. Cedric Mullins had another phenomenal week and is doing a little bit of everything, is hitting lefties, is hitting for power. Cedric Mullins has been really, really good. So Cedric Mullins number 2 this week.
Then, yeah, I mean, again, you might be right. I'm not sure what the right way to go about it was with these two guys. But, yeah, I had Zugano as number 2. I don't know. I honestly don't know why. I like Cedric Mullins a lot, and I thought he had a good week.
I love Cedric
He was
Mullins.
the most consistent guy all week,
no
so
question.
it felt, and, we saw him every night.
The Zugano thing is just like...
Right. I mean, they need
they're so desperate for pitching that, like, we're willing to say Dean Kramer's start was good. Zugano was a
good.
miracle. Basically threw an Orioles no-hitter. I mean, essentially a perfect game.
That's what I said. This looks like this is what an ace looks like. Well, in Baltimore at least.
Yeah.
This is what,
my God, breathtaking how good Zugano was. Now it's one start, and whether or not, I don't know what it's going to look like next time out. So there's something to be said for it. But based on how desperate the Orioles are, they are wandering through the Sahara, needing water, and Zugano gave them a big old gallon jug. Yeah, I mean, like, desperately. So Zugano's my number 1 and Mullins is my number 2. We'll get those up, GlennClarkRadio.com, here momentarily. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour, which is back tonight. Stan, Ross, and Luke talking baseball. Actually, it's going to be more like late this afternoon, 4 o'clock. First pitch for Stan, Ross, and Luke this afternoon. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can watch it YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan Shows is always brought to you by the Costas Inn. Check them out this afternoon, 4 o'clock. Stan, Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson talking baseball.
Connor Mantz finished in 4th place at the Boston Marathon this morning, or today, whatever. I guess
this is Patriots Day.
Yeah. It's the highest finish by an American since 2018.
Oh, hell yeah. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
So
See,
congrats, take that. Nailed it on the tariffs.
So shout out Connor, yeah.
Can't afford running shoes anymore. We're good.
Am I allowed to read tidbits from stuff the Reds did yesterday that hasn't been done?
I mean, if you really want to.
All right, then I guess I don't know. They're 8 and 9 spots. Drove in 13 runs, tied for the second most ever out of the 8 and 9 hole. 13 RBI. The number one, the Rangers had 14 runs batted in from their 8 and 9 hole spot back in something. I'm not sure if this day is significant. August 22nd, 2007. When they drove in 14 runs.
August 22nd.
Was that? I assume that was the Orioles game.
I don't
was
really.
That August 22nd.
Was it it was the Rangers?
Yeah, it was
the
Rangers.
Then it had to be. Had to be.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Yeah, I figured as much. So that happened. Elsewhere, the Brewers. They set a franchise record.
It's so funny how we talk about, like, we'll never forget that game. It was only 6 runs less yesterday. Yeah. Like, there's no real difference in scoring 24 or scoring 30, but, like, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Brewers are the first team since at least 1969, the divisional era, with 6 stolen bases in an inning. They stole 6 bases in 1 inning yesterday.
I was not aware of that.
Can you name the 6 guys that stole?
Not a chance in hell.
Christian Yelich, of course.
I figured that would probably be one of them.
Sal Frelick.
Sal Frelick's very good.
Bryce Terang stole 2.
It wasn't Joey Ortiz, was it?
No, Joey Ortiz was not involved. But William Contreras stole a base.
Okay.
Reese Hoskins stole a base. All in the first inning against the A's.
I probably could have come up with most of that, actually, now that I think about it.
But did you know Reese Hoskins was a Brewer?
I did know Reese Hoskins was
He was
a
there
Brewer.
last year, yeah. The good things.
I
the
probably would
Orioles
have guessed
did.
Jackson Choreo, right? Like
Yeah,
that probably
yeah,
would have
it
been
is,
on,
it is
on the
kind of weird.
list.
I think he had a stolen base in the game, but
Okay.
they stole 9 in the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
They scored 14 runs. They won 14-1. Would you have rather lost 14-1 and gave up 6 stolen bases in one inning, or lose 24-2?
Who cares?
Orioles had on Saturday, back to the good times. They had back-to-back home runs to lead off the game.
Right.
They had 2 sets of back-to-back jacks, and they also had a player with multiple home runs off the bench. First time, no team has accomplished all 3 of those over the course of a single season. They did it all in one game.
World Series, baby.
Maybe
World Series.
This is unprecedented.
Right back
territory.
on.
It's unprecedented.
Right back on.
So who knows? And then that guy,
There's
Ramon
never
Laureano.
been a team that's done all of those things that hasn't won the World Series. Think about that.
Can you guess Yeah, I guess that's true.
Mm-hmm.
The Laureano, 2 home runs off the bench. He is the 5th Oriole to do this.
Are you serious? I'm just naming. There is no, there is no. Here's how this would make sense. Chris Hoyles.
No Chris Hoyles.
Cal Ripken never came off the bench.
Never.
I have no idea. I
The last was 2017.
Off the bench in 2017. Scope.
No, not Scope.
Trey.
Yes, Trey Mancini, June 7th, 2017.
Neat.
The last time an Oriole came off the bench to
Sure.
hit 2 home runs. Before that was 1987. And of course, you remember.
It was Eddie Murray.
No, it wasn't Eddie Murray.
It was Joe Ursulak.
I guess this is it. He was an outfielder, Mike Young.
Oh, okay.
Mike
I
Young.
mean, I might have gotten to Mike Young eventually.
I mean, this is unfortunately what I got for you. So
this is really bad,
Well,
man.
this
You're
was-
just guessing names of Orioles. There's just nothing to base it off of.
1980.
Eddie Murray.
No, not Eddie Murray.
I'm gonna keep guessing Eddie Murray until it finally ends up being Eddie Murray. Rich Dower.
No, not Rich Dower.
Kiko Garcia.
No.
Benny Ayala.
No.
Len Sakata.
He was on the 1970 Orioles World Series team. Not Len Sakata.
He was still.
So he came. No, he actually. So he left and then came back for another 6 years.
Left and came. Was on the 1970 Orioles. Left and came.
Went to Cincinnati and Atlanta.
Oh,
for 3 seasons and then came back. Outfielder as well.
Left for Cincinnati and Atlanta and came back. Is that? It's not Don Buford.
He was on the Orioles as a hitting coach for a while as well.
Don Baylor?
No, not Don Baylor.
Terry Crowley?
Terry Crowley.
Okay.
There you go. 1980, coming off the bench to hit a couple of home runs. Terry Crowley. And then the first Oriole to do this was 1960. Everyone's favorite.
Brooks Robinson.
No, not Brooks Robinson. I guess I said
Everyone's favorite. Boog Powell?
No, I was just kind of sad. I was more or less just saying that, I guess.
Somebody that nobody knows?
No, it is somebody. We know him, but yeah, he's not Brooks. That's
1960 Orioles.
Let's see. He came up with the Dodgers.
Diamond Jim Gentile.
Jim Gentile.
Oh,
Boom, you killed it. Look, you knew this list.
Sure.
You know your guy.
Nailed
You know
it.
your Orioles that
Nailed
come
it.
off the bench.
Yeah, nailed it.
Jim Gentile, Terry Crowley, Mike Young, Trey Mancini, and now Ramon Laureano.
All right. Let's get Tubular to wind things down.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Obviously, the Orioles are off, but lots of playoffs tonight. Capitals open their playoff run tonight, 7 o'clock against the Canadiens. That's on Game 1 at 7 o'clock on ESPN and locally on Monumental. ESPN will also have Avalanche Stars Game 2 at 9:30 tonight. ESPN2 Blues Jets Game 2 at 7:30. Oilers Kings Game 1 at 10. TNT and True TV for Pistons Knicks Game 2 at 7:30. And Knicks had a stirring rally in the second half in order to take Game 1 over the Pistons. and Clippers Nuggets Game 2 at 10 o'clock, and you got the full Russell Westbrook experience in Game 1 of that series. Baseball today, MLB Network, White Sox, Red Sox that's already underway. Of course, that's the Patriots Day game up in Boston.
Almost done, honestly.
And Brewers Giants, 9:45 tonight, and it's also on MLB TV as the free game of the day. Netflix for WWE Raw. This is the big one, the Fallout, the Raw After Mania, they call it.
Can't wait.
Could be Rusev returning tonight. Could be Brody King making his debut.
So
Jeff Cobb.
Was it a terrible main event, or was it like
it was an
is
awful
because
main
last
event.
year was so
no,
good?
it was just awful, and everything about it was awful. It really is as bad gets. It was a bad match, which they're trying to say they did purposely because that's supposed to be John Cena's character because he's a heel. But it was far more problematic because, like, John Cena was breaking the record, was winning his 17th World Championship, which, as I said earlier, it's like Alex Ovechkin breaking the goals record, and the response from the crowd is, eh.
So does he have to win an 18th one now? Or
No. My buddy, like when people started to think this is what they were gonna do, my buddy was like, well, maybe they just like have Randy Orton like race to break it afterwards, so they can. I'm like, this is so cockamamie.
Right. And then Triple H comes back.
Like, you've got this,
and he breaks
so,
Randy Orton.
It's so objectively bad, like bad.
Well, we all know Logan Paul's gonna eventually.
Right, that's
be
a
the
good
new,
point. He'll probably
have
win
the most
20
titles.
titles.
Yes,
That's a good
yes.
point. All right.
So that'll
What,
be exciting.
non-sports quick.
There's really not a whole lot. Quinta Brunson and Chris Hayes will be on Jimmy Kimmel.
Chris Hayes, like the
MSN,
what are you doing with the? What exactly did you have in mind with the whipped cream? That's that guy.
I think
Oh no,
so.
Chris
Or-
Hayes is the
no.
news guy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
MSNBC.
who's that guy? What's that guy's name?
I don't know.
Chris Hansen. That's his name.
Oh, the
Chris
the
Hayes
Catch
is
the
just
Predator
a
guy?
he's just like an anchor on
Yeah,
MSNBC.
yeah.
It's not nearly as exciting as
I assume him
I
and
thought-
Quinta Brunson are talking about.
Oh yeah, they're promote WrestleMania.
Oh really?
Yeah,
They
it's
had a lot of-
weird because it happened over the weekend, but like you can still watch it on Peacock.
Okay.
So
Okay. Nice.
they just wanna let everybody know that. Yeah.
That's real. Dr. Pimple Popper is back on Lifetime
good to have
tonight at 10. And that's it. There's a if anyone's into pangolins, there's a pangolin documentary on
I
on
don't
Netflix.
know what that is.
It's an endangered species
Oh,
of this little. It's actually pretty cute. It's this it's like a sand anteater armadillo thing. Like it rolls into a ball and rolls, but it's like got like hard plates as well. But it's got like a long tongue like an anteater. It's kind of cool.
Very confusing. All
Kind
right.
of cool looking. And there's this guy that helps rehabilitate this one.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Adorable. Thanks today to Pat Ricard. Thanks also to Mike Bordick. Thanks to Jeremy Conn. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the.
Can you take me higher?
I feel like we could do better than that at this point. I feel like we should.
Oh wait, how's the Seth freaking Rollins?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay, I need the music.
Burn it down. There you go. We'll work on it. Maybe.
Sure. I will.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. No, you won't. Think about it at 12:17 p.m. if that's when we end the show tomorrow. Tomorrow on the program, we're doing draft.
Yes, we will. Chad
Ryder from NFL Network, NFL.com. Of course, it's Tuesday, so we'll talk to Patrick and stuff and things.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, the Brigance Brigade, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go, nobody in particular. Duke sucks.